Yep, I've been on the road for more than 24 hours now. Or about 24 hours, I guess, because I left around 6, so 24 and a half hours. I'm just before Birmingham, Alabama. I went through Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. All in one day from the south of Missouri. Yep, I'm here at the Walmart parking lot. And just like getting into how useful it is to Walmart hop. It's got security. They've got bathrooms. They've got all kinds of supplies for camping and for vehicle and clothing, and it's like a modern day general store. I'm glad that Sam Walton basically decreed that Walmart parking lots should be open to people who are on their way, on their journeys. Although not all Walmarts allow it now after he's died. It's been maybe the bane of some people in Walmart's existence. But as long as you're not having what they call a yard sale and putting all your stuff out into the other parking spaces and you stay for one night on your road, I think that's not a problem. I think they're more worried about people starting to make a permanent camp. Yeah, although I do like the idea of permanent Walmart camps, there's also a horrific element, especially in the United States, when you combine it with all the hard drugs. Yeah, but I digress. On the way to Florida, first stop Tallahassee tomorrow. There's an open mic I want to check out. So I heard about it from a band, the Little Mercies, who I met when I was in Asheville last summer. And then from then on, slowly to Orlando for Friday. I've got a concert there with my friend Mitar and some others, and then invited for a late night jam in some forest with some folk punks. It's shaping up to be a good trip. What can we expect? I don't know. Let's see. All right. I'm going to go inside the van now. Yeah, I like free beaches. I like public space where you're allowed to discreetly sleep, because it just seems like in this land of private property, there's become a challenge to find a place just to park a vehicle and sleep in it. Although maybe I'm imagining that challenge is greater than it is, and maybe I can park my vehicle and sleep in a lot more places than I think. Florida. And then I made it to Orlando. I played one show at this place called Lou's with my friend Nitar, who set up the event. He does this kind of improv music with a looper and likes to sample things from YouTube. So I was throwing him stuff from YouTube that he would loop and sample, and another guy was playing guitar. The last act was called Greasy Bitches, which was two women that were playing like a bunch of electronics, making kind of really like heavy distorted atonal techno beats with all synths and drum machines and some vocals. The vocalist was like holding a lit cigarette the entire time inside the place, which I'm not a fan of smoking inside, especially cigarettes. But I liked what they sounded like, so it was cool. But I would recommend not burning a cigarette the whole time you're playing in a room full of people who maybe don't want to smell that. Just a thought. Okay, Grandpa Dandy. We'll leave it at that. Then I went out to the forest where I was invited to play a second show, which was this like folk punk mega concert in the middle of the woods. There's a lot of cool performers there. It was like a party. It was full of these trans girls, and they were really cute, jumping and dancing and super high energy. They liked my music a lot. I sold some CDs to some collectors, and I felt really loved and accepted and listened to, so that was good. It was like 2 small concerts with attentive audiences, so that's great. That's the best you can ask for when you're trying to meet people in a new place. All right, that's the update. Wow, it's windy. So I just arrived at Tampa. And I needed a place to sleep, so I researched this kind of park. It's like a dog park and disc golf park on the peninsula. And I thought, okay, that's gonna be nice. I can maybe catch the end of the sunset at least and have a nice, beautiful beach spot to wake up to. But it is so windy here. Oh my goodness, it's just blowing, but I'm cozy in the car. Let's see, what's been going on since the last message? I'm having my coffee and playing some guitar, as you hear. Well, I had a meeting with my old friend Piper Harrow, who we met in Kansas City. And we worked on a few different art projects and music performances, noise performances, and things like that. And we met in the beautiful, like, historic neighborhood of Ybor. And we had nice coffee and a great conversation. And at one moment I was thinking, wow, I would love to have Piper to be on Voice Seeker. And then about 20 minutes later, Piper said, our conversation is just flowing so well. It's a shame that we're not making a podcast. And I said, well, we could if you want. I was thinking the same thing. So we didn't record anything yet, but I'm hoping that we will meet in the next few days and make a podcast interview. And we've got some shows lined up, so that's cool. I tell you, it's been a really interesting trip here in Florida because I've been making friends with a lot of trans women, and it's been super cool because, a lot of people have opinions about this topic, about gender identity and things, and a lot of people feel really polarized and threatened by something they don't understand, or they also feel threatened by people not understanding them. And a lot of ugly behaviors can come out of people that really is unfortunate, because the best way to just fix all of that is to be in the same space and have a good time together. If you're feeling transphobic, go into a forest and play folk music with a bunch of jumping, excited trans girls, and I guarantee you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable when you spend time together and accept each other. You know, I mean, the media and the polarizing effect of impersonal communication are very, very, very established, and having a personal relationship with someone where you share space, you look each other in the eyes, you are in proximity, and you feel their humanness, it's a really good remedy for all of these combative energies that are going around these topics. Because ultimately, I think when people spend time together, what they want is just to feel comfortable and accepted. And if that's too much to ask, that's very sad. I mean, of course, sometimes the things that make us comfortable will make other people uncomfortable, and it gets into murky territory. But I think it's a lot easier to handle things on a situational basis with individuals, because, for one, all these people making comments and talk, whether you're complaining about trans people or you're complaining about cis people or whatever it is, the problem is that you can't talk about a whole group of people and be honest, because no one group of people carries all of these traits and features. Every member of a group is an individual, and they're all different, beautiful snowflake expressions of humanness. And the trouble we get into is when we start to try to make statements about entire groups of people without knowing who they are individually. And we start to get into this kind of fallacy of the quote-unquote economic person, which, you know, would have, 2.5 kids? I mean, if you actually saw 2.5 kids, you'd be horrified because there would be just half of a child, right? So the economic human does not exist in real life. They're average, aggregate, medians. All these things are numbers and models, and we have these models in our head. We have models of everything that we think about. So our thoughts usually create bigger, more scary demons than actually exist, right? So, that's just my thought on that while I'm having my coffee and pondering life and excited about being able to take a shower here on the beach. Hello. Where are we? We're at the Picnic Island, but it's not an island, is it?
I have no clue where you took me.
But that's just what it's called, yeah.
It's a Picnic Island, but it's really on a peninsula in Tampa. And do you guys want to introduce yourselves however you like? I don't know.
I'm Rye.
And I'm B.
And they're my neighbors currently.
Yeah.
I saw B pull up a few days ago in the van, pulling this trailer that I didn't know. It had a little door on the back and like a kind of greenhouse roof, and I was like, what is this? And then later we met, and it was like, oh, that's a greenhouse trailer. Cool. So it's a portable little garden being pulled around. Yeah, how do we meet? I was because I was over by the showers, and I was like figuring out how to take a shower, and then you were walking around, and you're like, I found the showers, because you guys were talking on the phone, and then you mentioned that, and then we started talking, and we're talking about the shower and just all the life, and then you were like, hey.
Sounds like our kind of person.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to meet like that. And it was like, okay, let's all like be neighbors.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, like we were talking about so many great things, and then now when you pull out the recording equipment, it's like,
Yeah, no,
where do we go? Do you want to explain kind of, because how did you guys meet? Maybe you can tell that story a little bit.
Met at Schoolie for the beginning.
Schoolie?
Palooza last year in Arizona.
Can you explain what that is?
Nomad gathering. Largely school buses, but everybody's welcome. Just nomads traveling. Yearly meetup down by Ehrenberg, Arizona. Kind of by Quartzsite, so all the big get-togethers happen over there for a lot of the nomad world.
Yeah, I heard about Quartzsite as a place where a lot of van people go in the winter, especially. So I don't need to have a schoolie. I could come in this vehicle to school.
Yeah, anything. Yep.
Oh, okay. Because I kind of feel like I don't have a schoolie, so I gotta sit this one out.
I did.
You know, there's a ton of vans there.
Yes.
And I was never in a school bus when I was there, and everyone just welcomes you. You know.
This was my 6th year going, and it was my first year with a bus.
Nice.
And I was living out of the bus, but I was selling firewood out of it. Yeah, it was kind of the end of schoolie. I was hanging out with some people, just hanging out at the end of a rig, and this gal showed up. She'd been broken into and kind of just wanted to be back by people she knew and felt safe with. And then we found out her window had been broken and she'd been broken into, so I helped her cardboard her window up and get her settled in for the night, and then left her be.
And that was
how
B.
I met her.
Yep.
I wasn't B yet, but
Yeah.
working my way towards that, I guess.
A few days earlier, I met her dog, Shotzi. This little turd, he came up because he does his own thing and visits people, and he showed up a couple times, and I got to play with him, but never knew where he came from.
Shotzi, yeah, you can hear Shotzi, I'm sure, in the recording because his little janglies on his collar going tick, 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 and he likes to walk around on his little pitter-patter feet. He's like, I don't know, what is he, like a mini pincher, kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, that's what he is. Mixed with who knows what, I think maybe Jack Russell.
He's got a little bit of that, like, the cool Chihuahuas that are, like, he's like Chihuahua size, but he doesn't have the nervousness. He's like, very comfortable with himself. I like that.
Yeah, he's a really cool dog.
Good dog.
So you met at Schoolie, and
Yeah.
now you're in a van, but it's like you're both kind of van traveling people, and then you met in a place for nomads where, it makes sense, huh?
Yep. Yeah, of all weird things. That's this year when I was back there talking to people. Yeah, and whoa, have you met anybody cool out here? I'm like, I've met people that are really family now here, and kind of built community and a life out of this, and coming here. And last year I met my partner out here. You met a girl here? I'm like, don't have those expectations.
Oh yeah, that ruins everything.
Will not. Yep, you're not gonna find anybody.
Yeah, if you're searching for a partner, they're all running. Like, you're thirsty. I don't want to give you a drink.
No, we might have met, but we didn't even know it if we did. And you needed help getting your window on your van fixed, so once you were able to get money to put a new window in your van, then I helped you, and then we figured maybe we could hang out a little bit, so we hung out a few times.
Nice. It's good to start with that friendship, and you can really get to see what a person's qualities are.
Yeah, we decided to start real slow in our relationship, and then my van got repoed, and so I moved in with him.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Got the phone call that the tow truck was picking her up, and we met her at a hotel, and we loaded all her things up. Packed us and her whole life in my box van, already filled with, or box truck, already filled with my life. We made it work for about a month and a half until we found you this van, got you in here.
That's cool.
Faster way of getting to know someone, though, than living with them in such tiny quarters.
Yeah, tell me about it. Wow. You get to see all of the things.
The box truck is like 87 square feet, so not quite 90 feet.
Well, if you still want to be around each other after an experience like that, then that's a pretty good test, right?
I
Otherwise,
think so.
Yeah.
otherwise you would just be like, I had enough. You know?
We've even been separated for 2 months and still couldn't be away from each other.
Yeah, that was too long.
Yeah, but it's better to enjoy it than to not enjoy it, right? So it's good to check in with yourself. Like, am I doing this because I have to or because I want to? And then when you go away, you're like, oh, I really want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good test for our relationship, I think.
Yep. That was definitely.
But you mentioned, so someone broke in at Schoolie Palooza?
No, it wasn't at Schoolie. I was actually leaving Schoolie with the intention of, not coming back. I was heading into California to try to find a job for myself. And the first place that I camped that night, my van got stuck in the sand, and I couldn't get myself out. So I knew that there was people around to like help or whatever. So I left my van to go get help, and in the 15 minutes it took to come back with help, the van doors were wide open. One of the windows was busted in.
That
fast? And they went through everything. They took all the most expensive things that were there. Like there were some things that they missed, thankfully, but it was kind of like a wham bam in and out kind of like hustle.
Professional.
Like, yeah, they knew what they were doing for sure, and they must have been watching me or something because it was a very short period of time.
Wait, so you got stuck in the mud and
in the sand.
In the sand. So maybe they knew that this happens.
They might, yeah. I would believe it. So yeah, I felt pretty violated at that point, and I didn't want to camp alone, especially not having a window, because then who's stopping them from crawling in my sleep? And I don't know, I was just freaked out. So I went back to school because that's where I knew people. And I hadn't even met Rai yet, but that's when I met him.
Okay, so you'd been there and then you left to go on your way, but then you came back because you just needed some family vibes.
Yeah, it kind of all happened on purpose, because I never would have met Rai had that not have happened. So it all happened for a reason, but it might have sucked at the time.
But yeah, I think like the spontaneity of life offers so much in terms of the way we connect to people. Like when we commodify our experience and we turn everyone into like a profile on the internet, and we're just like flipping through these profiles like on these websites to meet people, and it's like, who is this? It's just a symbol. But then when you actually are like in real life and something happens unexpected, and how you respond to that, and also how the people around you respond to that, gives you a real indication of their character pretty quickly. Like you can see how people act in emergencies, or how calm they stay, or there's so many like, I don't know, like when it comes to meeting people, I'm much more successful meeting them in real life. On the internet I can meet people, I've done it, and sometimes cool friends, but yeah, there's something about like the way like life throws us together and how we act with that information, and it's really beautiful because it's so unexpected.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I was actually getting ready to leave for a different Nomad event, Van Aid, to go help other people. Well, that's after we met at Schoolie. We kind of hung out at Van Aid. You had some other little things to work on and kind of wrap up.
That's how you got to know who I was.
Yeah.
Because he liked the fact that, like, yes, I asked him for help because I didn't know how to do some things, but I insisted on doing it myself. I just wanted him to tell me how to do it, And he really liked that I wanted to do it myself.
That's the way I like to do education too. It's like, I don't want to be a teacher, authoritarian, bossing you around. I want to support anyone to learn anything they want. And if I know something, I can offer that, but it's not like to put a hierarchy, right? And so a person figuring out for themselves, but with some guidance from people, maybe with some clues, is a great way of developing.
Just how she learns for the most part, is just getting into it and having somebody there for guidance and reference when you need it. You built all this out completely on your own.
I remember the first time I hung out with carpenters in my life, and then I observed that the number one thing that they know how to do is fix their mistakes. Like how many times they cut it too short and have to add something, or like, oops, I didn't drill that hole and now I broke this, or like how many drill bits have been broken, how many screws stripped, how many cracked pieces of wood. There's so holes, mistakes, but it's what's beautiful. Like you just like, okay, what if I make a mistake? Well, it's better than not trying at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a lot how I've learned to do things too. Like, I can just dive into it and screw it up 3 times faster than someone who's going to spend 3 days planning and trying to figure it out and make it all work exactly how they thought it would, and then it doesn't just pan out anyway.
Shotzi, no bark. Good boy.
This is free flowing now.
Yeah, I seen it untied itself at one point.
We got like a kind of corral with our vans and the sunshade that's sort of now blowing around freely.
Untied itself from your oil jug.
Yeah. I was thinking about like another way to do it, but
I have another magnet.
where do we want to move
You
it?
can-
Like,
Try this on your car and hook it to this.
Stick it to the bottom of your door, maybe?
go. That might not.
Might not be strong enough, but
Yeah.
it's worth a shot.
Or improvising with
Yeah.
a sunshade.
I love that with tarps. I mean, one of my favorite things about going to rainbow gatherings is to watch and observe how people build things with tarps out in nature, and making like a big kitchen or a place just for sun and rain shade. It's the dog's trying to get up.
Well,
Sure of himself.
And yeah, tarpology is such a great science. It's always different, you know. The winds is different, and the rains, and
Brings out our inner child with
Yeah.
blanket fort.
exactly making a safe, warm place. It's cozy. So you guys, B, you are you have a hobby you were telling me about that you really love to do long treks. You want to talk about that at all?
yeah, I haven't had any experience doing any full through hikes yet. I've only hiked the the Oregon section of the PCT, which is just shy of 500 miles. But I'm planning on doing the Appalachian Trail and parts of the Florida Trail as soon as I can get just enough funding to, fund for gas and food and for all of that. I'll be out there on the trail for the entire summer, probably until about September. If not longer, I might decide to continue and go onto other trails, because I learned about a lot of other ones recently that go, east and west from wherever I am. So it kind of seems like America is all connected somehow via a trail, and I want to explore that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
You really get to observe a lot more when you're on foot and stop and take a look at something. When with the car, it's like everyone behind you is like, keep going, and if you don't keep up with the flow, then everyone's like, "Bah, bah, bah," and you just want to like stop in the middle of the road and look at something for a minute and take a picture or just admire
Yeah.
it.
I think the most beautiful things that can be seen in this world can only be reached by foot. And based on the little bit of backpacking experience that I already have, it's very true, because I've seen so many just gorgeous views and things that I've taken in that you just can't see anywhere else, that you can't even see from a boat or a plane or a car. It's something that you gotta... I think putting the work into it too makes it more beautiful.
Yes.
Enduring all the pain it takes to
Yes.
get up that mountain, and dealing with all the bugs and mosquitoes and the aches and pains and the heat and lack of water or whatever other issues that come up. It all makes it worth it once everything kind of clears and you can just see whatever skyline view that is, and your perspective just kind of changes at that point, because you're like, wow, I did it, I made it this far, and this is my reward.
Right, you didn't just drive up to the top and go step out of your car.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an
yeah.
arduous journey. That makes so much more sense. I mean, I also noticed that like something about the danger of a place also increases its beauty, because if I go and look at a waterfall that has a guardrail, and I'm behind the guardrail, I feel like I can't take an interesting picture. I can't even experience the waterfall directly because I'm behind this railing. But then if you're like walking on some rocky river stones to get to the edge of the waterfall from up top, and you're looking down and you feel that's such more beautiful, that dangerous place. So it's something about how we make everything a little bit too safe sometimes, and then it destroys a lot of the beauty too, because it's just so safe that there's no risk. Yeah, you know, or like we put a box around the wildness to the point where now it's not even amusing to observe.
Yeah, all my favorite places, you know, there's no sign of human building anything. It's just 100% nature.
That's nice. Immersion. Yeah, that's really healing, like forest bath. I don't know if that's like there's like a Japanese thing about taking a forest bath, but a lot of people they let all cultures understand.
I think just getting out into nature in general is just healing and what we were meant to do, because we spent all this time perfecting indoors, you know, to get away from the elements and from the bugs and from the things that we don't like. But if we think to actually experience those things that we don't really like to experience, I don't know, I think it makes those good moments a little bit better. And I think we were meant to, you know, endure certain things that we try to run away from. And I think when we kind of remind ourselves that we grow as people and become better, stronger people.
It's like the more comfortable we are, the more traumatic it is if any of those comforts is removed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely. Because I'm definitely a tougher person when I'm out on trail. Like, if I have aches and pains, like, I'm not really compelled to complain when I'm out there. I guess maybe because I know it can get worse.
yeah, it's like, okay.
But, like, when I'm not actively hiking or whatever, and I just get a little bit sick, I'm, like, bitching the whole time about it. And it's, like, the most miserable, annoying thing. I don't know.
Totally. I mean, that's something about trauma, too, though. It's like, all people experience some disappointment, some drop of their happiness, some kind of pain about like things not going the way that they would like. No matter how privileged or distraught they are, like people, all humans, all beings experience some kind of pain, some kind of trauma. Now it could be like, oh my God, the 5-star restaurant served this thing and it was just like a little bit of sauce on the side and I'm so angry. And it could be something much worse than that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to objectively rate. It's like a person can only understand the greatest trauma that they've experienced, and that's the greatest, that is what it is. The greatest difficulty that they've ever faced is that. So every person's got one. They're all different, but it's still the greatest one they've had. So the way they perceive it is going to be, in a way, there's a kind of parity to it, even though maybe the experience of one is so much more arduous and so much worse and so much more painful. But in a way, like, the worst thing you've experienced is the worst. So, you know, like, it's funny, like, how much extremes we can have with that, like, of trauma and pain. And I mean, not to say that, it's more like an observation that, like, the more coddled we become, the more painful very simple things are, like, but then when we have experience, we can say shut up and just endure it.
Yeah. I also think it makes the most interesting stories too, you know, because when life is easy, it's not interesting, you know, the stories aren't interesting. Like, I remember thinking so many times through so many switchbacks how I wish the trail could just be flat.
Yeah.
And then the trail gets flat for a long time, and all of a sudden now it's boring. There's nothing to see. There's no views, you know. Like, it has to be not flat for it to be interesting. You know, that's a whole part of it, the whole point.
The variation of the landscape is always a challenge. Yeah, like how to climb up over the knotty roots and sticks. And like when you have to take every step that you know you could slip and break your head open, you take that step so much more fully that you don't worry about anything else. Yeah. But when you're on autopilot, you can think about all those things in the back of your mind. But in the present moment, the danger again is calling us to the moment. So the idea that I could slip and fall and no one might even know that I am hurt until like hours when another hiker comes.
Yeah.
That like awareness makes you so present in the moment too. Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and you touched briefly on like thought. Like I never think more than when I'm actively hiking, you know, and I can think more in depth and more about things that I don't feel mentally ready to deal with when I'm not hiking, you know, and I feel like those thoughts come at just the perfect time because now my brain is ready to handle it and to work through, you know, like these past issues and traumas and like and kind of heal through nature and through myself and my thoughts. And I've only ever been able to do that while hiking.
Yeah, there's something about the act of walking through space and with your thoughts, like that is really soul food, right? just going for a walk, like if you're having a weird day and you're just inside, or just get out and walk somewhere around. And nature is the best, but even through a city, I love, especially walking through something you don't know, like getting a little bit lost in your walk, like a free walk, where you're going and you want to go a direction you never went before, and you don't care where it goes, just figure it out and find your way back. And that wandering walk is so healing.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to get a little lost.
Yeah, and then finding your way back.
Mm-hmm. It does pose an interesting challenge, because it's like, well, if I don't get unlost very soon, I'm in a bad situation.
Sunset's
so we need
coming.
to figure this out.
It's gonna be dark, and I forgot my flashlight at home.
Yeah, I definitely have a few stories like that. Like, I was hiking with my friend Serena, and she ended up getting really sick on the trail. And at first she was just like, I'm going to tough it out, kind of thing. And I respected that. But then she told me that she thought she had a fever. And I'm like, well, you're not going to tough that out here. Like, you need, to go get help. And you need, whatever infection is going on, like, needs to be fixed and cured. So we were going to head off trail, and we realized we had two options. First option was to stay on the trail that I had a map for. We would have had to walk 17 miles to the next, basically, civilization point, right? But the other option was to walk a allegedly marked trail that I didn't have a map for, and that was 8 miles to civilization.
Wow, yeah,
so we wanted to get her off the trail as soon as possible. And like, she wanted to stop every 20 minutes and take a break, which I can't blame her for. She doesn't feel good, but like, we got to get going if we're going to get off this mountain, And so we're hiking for a very long time, and I'm pushing her, and I get to the point where I'm not being very nice to her, because I know that like somebody needed to kick her butt a little bit so that we could actually get out of there, because if we went at her pace, we never would have got to the end. But anyway, so I'm stressed out because my friend is sick, and then we don't have a map for this place, and like these trails, the main trail turns into like a sub-trail somehow, and all these other sub-trails are off of this trail, and I can't find the main trail anymore, and we got really lost and confused and didn't know where to go, and I was like starting to internally freak out because I wanted to get her out of there and feeling better as soon as possible. So finally, I did some looking around, and I did some, put some thought into it, and thought, I bet if I get up to that ridge, I'd have a better view of everything around me, and I'd be able to see something that would help me figure out where the trail is, right? Now, she didn't want to go up yet another ridge that could lead to nowhere or the wrong spot, but, I convinced her to anyway. And once we did get to the top of that ridge, I saw a sign, and I was like, there's no way that's not the sign that we need to go to. So I'm like, okay, that's the direction we need to go. We went that direction, found the sign, and sure enough found the trail, and were able to continue hiking. And then the hike only got worse from there.
I thought it was like, and then we made it quickly.
No, it was the worst hike of my entire life, because after all of that stress, now we're going downhill, this very, very steep downhill with loose rocks, which makes it even harder to walk and to stay balanced. And we're tired as it is. The sun's beating down on us, and I'm the lead car in this operation, so I'm catching all of the spider webs, and I'm just getting annoyed because I'm constantly having to wipe them off my arms, and it's like really, I didn't like them touching my skin, So I was starting to get frustrated because of that as well. And then after this one spider web, I saw a spider crawling up and down my arm, and I was just so mad at that point. I just completely lost it. I threw my checking poles on the ground and just started I just needed to scream. I just needed to get it out. So I just started yelling and cussing because I was just so frustrated with how that day was going. And then I got my frustrations out and everything was fine, but we had to keep walking. Well, we get to the end of this 8-mile trail, to the trailhead, where my map said, this is where we're going to find civilization, right? And there's not a single person there. There's nobody in the parking lot, nothing. And so I look at the trailhead map, and I saw, well, there's like these hot springs that, weren't very far, and I kind of measured it on the map, with my fingers to see how far it was, and it looked like it was only 2 miles. Had the map been to scale, it would have been only 2 miles. Well, we're hiking for hours longer at this point, and granted it's flat, it's just a gravel road we're walking on, so it could be worse, but we're still, we're tired, we're done, we're also out of food at this point too, it's just all of these things coming together. And so we ended up finding these campers, and they were cooking up hot dogs and everything, and we're just like, hey, can you drive us to civilization? She's sick and we're having issues, you know? We kind of gave them the rundown of what had happened. And they welcomed us into their camp. They fed us and everything. She was so sick she couldn't even eat. Like, her throat hurt so bad, like, she couldn't eat anything. But I was able to at least eat, and they took us into town and dropped us off at a bar where we were able to, like, get into contact, because at that point we finally had service at the bar, so we could get in contact with a friend to pick us up, blah blah blah, and that was basically the end of the night.
Wow.
But to get there, yeah, it was a lot more than we bargained for, and we probably could have just hiked the 17 miles and been fine at that point, because that's probably as far as we ended up hiking anyway.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, interesting observation there. But it's really nice, so that, like, when you met the people, they were like, they helped you, and you know what I mean? That's beautiful. And there is something about that when you're living in this, like, when you're living out of the comforts, then the people who are also living out of the comforts want to comfort each other in different ways. Like, hey, I don't have much, but I've got this hot water and a couple of, like, twigs of these herbs that I picked earlier, and you have that, like, when you're in the middle of the forest and there's no one around and people just give you some hot water with a few different, like, mountain herbs or something, it's like the best tea in the world.
I bet, yeah. I have a lot of really cool experiences with trail magic, is what we call it out there.
Trail magic.
People just help you in any way that you need help, or drop off things at the trail, or water caches, beer, like a whole bunch of cool things that you'll find people will leave for you. And it kind of really restores your faith in humanity, because living in the city, it's really easy to get jaded and to hate people, you know, because people do a lot of nasty things. Right. You know, but every experience I've had out on the trail was people doing nothing but nice things for each other. And that's where you find the good people, I think.
I think there's this stereotype that in the apocalypse everyone's going to turn into zombies and just try to steal from one another, and while there will be a portion of humanity that just doesn't have the skills to build relations in a good way, they might resort to that. But, like, I think the apocalypse situation actually would bring us so much nice things from everyone, because people would suddenly stop competing with each other for capitalism goals, and they would start to just be like, look, there's not much, we really need to survive, and then suddenly important things matter again. Yeah. We're like blinded by our comforts, so, and when people are very comfortable, they don't have a lot of empathy with someone's discomfort, because they don't feel, you know, it's like, I'm so comfortable that your discomfort makes me uncomfortable, so leave my presence, you know, and rather than being like, wow, I understand your discomfort, how can I help relieve it a little bit? Yeah. Because I also can feel uncomfortable. Like, I feel uncomfortable with your discomfort, how can I help comfort you? It'd be the other way we could approach that, right? So, but we're constantly have to deal with it. Like, sometimes I see someone asking for money and I stop the car and I don't even want to give them anything. I just don't feel like it. Other times I want to give someone who is in need a lot, you know, and send them $100 even or something. But it really just depends on how people approach with those energies. Like, we all in a situation where we need something, but, like, the way that we voice our needs it has a big way of how people want to help us meet them, right? Because it's like, if I'm like, I need a girlfriend, I'm so lonely, and I'm shouting that to the wind, and I'm like, shout at all the women present, like, you're all jerks, you didn't date me, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna help the situation at all. But it's like, okay, like, step back.
Yeah, I've learned that I've never gone too long without having something that I needed. You know, it always seemed to kind of pop up as soon as I stopped looking for it, as soon as I stopped expecting it, you know.
Make a plan, you can typically make something work and put something together. It'll probably change halfway through getting there, but you'll figure out how to get it by. Flexibility in the planning is very helpful, right? Because it's like, it's not going according to plan. I'm so disappointed that one thing went off.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. All these things happened. It was nice.
Well, life has a funny way of telling you when you don't need something, because suddenly now it's ripped away.
Yeah. You think you need that? Well, try this on for size.
Yeah, challenges.
Yeah, but you like, like a trail without hills. It's like, no one wants to watch a movie or a show or read a book about someone who just skates through their life easily.
Right, that's true.
That's the boringest story ever. I want to know how they
I had a problem and got out of it somehow.
Yeah.
You know, like that's.
We want to know how you struggled.
Yeah, I want to see the
because
struggle.
we're all struggling here.
And I want to feel that the
Relate.
struggle will be relieved.
Yeah.
I want to know your mess is worse than mine.
yeah, show me something worse than what I'm having right now.
Yeah.
Then I'll feel better about my situation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that. And it also made me think about those. There's these retirement houses in Japan that are this kind of experimental style for elderly people, where they make all the floors uneven and they have to kind of crawl around a bit to find things. And it's more of a challenge to move. So that makes them more stimulated with their brain. And it's helping to prevent these onset diseases of like Alzheimer's and things like that.
Interesting.
But for sure, I mean, from what I understand about the research, is that the number one factor to those diseases being at bay is like having a lot of social connections. But then again, you can still have a lot of social connections and love and still go into that loss. But like the activity of maintaining social connections is very stimulating to people's brains. It's like, I think a lot of people, they regressed very strongly during the pandemic time because they were isolated and then they didn't have the access to the normal social connections. So yeah, it's really important. Like old people in the hospital, my grandma, she was like that, but then like a lot of the family was not around where she was in her retirement home, so she didn't receive the visitors, and then she wasn't able to interact with the people either because her hearing was going and she didn't want to use the hearing aid. She didn't feel comfortable with that, and so then like her isolation from family, because most people were in other states at a lot of the time, and then her not even able to interact with people at the retirement place because she can't hear and she doesn't want to even wear the hearing aid. And then she just slowly, like, her condition started to degrade very quickly. She used to have a very agile mind and play card games and Scrabble, like she was very aware and like keeping track of things. But then in this moment where when all these people are like staying away from each other, like that's the time when things start to slip. It's unfortunate that people lost that chance to connect with one another. Whew. I love being alone though, so for me isolation was always something I was choosing, but to not choose isolation is quite I just watched the thing about that. It was called Mind. Oh, what is it called? I watched this YouTube video. This guy, he like was talking about people being isolated and what it can do to you even after 3 days of being completely alone, from no stimulus, no books either. And he did that in the show. He did 3 days alone in this room with a light that didn't turn off, and it's all white and like just like padded walls kind of cell, like bland food, and he lost track of time, and it was very interesting to watch what it did to him. It's messed up. Because of course, if you're alone and you have books and movies and things to do, then that's great.
Yeah.
That's a vacation.
Well, it's just like isolation in the jail. I think that's the worst form of punishment you can give another human being.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've literally watched human beings in the jail go from a somewhat normal, will talk to you, have a normal conversation, be just a normal human being, to being in isolation for months and turning into a complete, what you would think of, crazy person.
Yeah.
The whole crazy laugh and everything, the that kind of shit, like, and the manipulation and this, they completely flip and they break and they're a completely different person. Like,
it breaks them.
I think that's just the most horrible form of punishment that you can give a human.
And you could add maybe like the reason why you observed this was because at one time you were working as a prison guard, right?
Yeah, well, in the jail as a corrections deputy, but yeah.
Yeah, can you give a little bit of that background? Because like you have a really interesting work history, actually. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but I found it fascinating. Share what you would like if you want to give a little bit of, because like you really covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I basically started at age 17 as a volunteer firefighter. Got really into that, really enjoyed doing that, and through college lived as a resident volunteer at the fire station. And because at the time I was only a firefighter, I wanted to be able to help them out a little bit more, and so they ended up paying for me to go through EMT school. So I became an EMT for a while, an emergency medical technician, worked in the ambulance.
Which paid what?
Well, at first volunteer, but then when I worked for the private ambulance company, it only paid $12.52 an hour, and I couldn't even afford groceries. It was pretty bad.
Or an apartment.
But somehow I was still making too much money to even get qualified for food stamps. So explain that.
Can't afford groceries.
It was
It
was so messed up. Yeah, my dad. Luckily my dad bought me groceries and everything, and it worked out. But still, what a miserable way to live.
Yeah.
You're working so hard at a job that's so traumatizing and stressful, and you're not even getting paid enough to eat.
You're a frontline doing the necessary services that we need in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing.
It's not even being compensated. It's ridiculous.
Can't even pay for your own apartment.
Right. And then, but my ultimate passion at the time was to become a police officer because I wanted to go from there to a detective and specialize in human trafficking and saving girls who were trafficked. I didn't make it quite that far on my journey, but I worked into a jail for a few years, and that was a really miserable place to work for a lot of reasons, but in a way turned me into a miserable person, just being constantly surrounded by all of that. And so I knew I needed to get out of that, so I got a job working as a police officer on the streets. And then once I finally kind of, achieved this goal, I realized how stressful it was and how much I didn't want it anymore, and I didn't want to live like this because it's not just a job that you can turn off and go home to something else. Once you're a cop, you're always a cop, and it takes over and consumes your entire life, and I didn't want to live like that.
Yeah, and your adrenals. I hear a lot of cops even get cancer of different glands because their adrenaline is so up all the time. So they get this hyper production of adrenaline, and it causes tumors and things in their adrenal glands.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: is I was completely set up with this cop job. Right, my retirement date was planned. I was gonna make all of this money. I was gonna retire with all of this money, have all this stuff, have all these great benefits. I would have been able to retire at age 51, technically, but I probably would have died at age 53. You know what I mean? And I would have spent all those years not enjoying my life. And I realized pretty quickly that's not what I wanted out of life.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge journey from there to get to where I am now. And there's a lot of stories that would make this story make a lot more sense, but it's just too much time to cover. But ultimately, I went from police officer working to a whole bunch of other just odd miscellaneous type jobs to finally quitting my last job as a 911 dispatcher because I couldn't stand staring at a computer all day anymore. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I just had to get out of that lifestyle completely and try something completely different. So I kind of went on the opposite end of the spectrum and became a stripper. Dancer is more like what people usually like to call it, but I'll just say it as it is, But, and I met a lot of really interesting people with completely different perspectives and minds that I had, and it opened my mind to a lot of new and different things and ways of living, and from there my life just kind of expanded, and I met people through different ways and became a completely different person as a result of all of that. And, yeah.
and some of the experiences in the world of this stripping and exotic dancer world, can you say some of your observations about that experience? What you said a lot of things changed for you. Was it through that, or was it just that was a catalyst to just breaking out of the normal mold? Or
yeah, it started off as a catalyst just to break out of the mold of what society's expectations were of me, and being okay with being different is what I learned through all of that. Meeting a lot of people who were very different in how they lived. It didn't necessarily reflect my views or ideals, but it gave me the option to decide how I wanted to live my life. It didn't have to be what anybody expected out of me. It could be exactly what I wanted it to be. And that was a new, different type of freedom. And
yeah, it's like the freedom of old people in a way, like the grandpa freedom to just wear whatever clothes you want and not give a damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dye my hair blue and I'm gonna wear this leopard print. It's okay, you can. When people when people grab onto their crone energy or their kind of like granny energy, and where you're just like, you know what, I'm tired of pretending anymore. Yeah. I'm too old for that shit. I'm just gonna be me, and you're gonna deal with it, and I'm gonna be sweet about it though, unless you cross me. You know, like that kind of moment where you're just like, fuck society telling me what to do. I'm gonna be myself, and you're just gonna love me for it. And then that's great. That's lovely when people get to that point. It's like, it's such a relief.
Right there is the most freeing thing, you know. I've had very abusive people in my family, you know, mock my way of living, of being free and this and that, and say, well, you're not really free, you're not, you know, you're this, you're that, you're blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't bother me anymore because I know what I am, and I'm free within my own head, and they're not, you know, and that's something that a lot of people don't really look into as much, I guess.
It's painful for them. Like, if you're demonstrating it and people don't want to try those experiments with their own life, then they can be pretty triggered by observing it, because it in a way invalidates a lot of things that they've held dear, because we've been taught that certain things are really important. And of course it's important to do productive work in society. It's important to help others. It's important to take care of yourself and to be able to not be a burden on all of the other people, right? Like, I think when we're talking about freedom, we're not talking about just living off of the system, but we're talking about living in a different kind of system, an ecology of gift giving and mutual aid, where people, instead of exchanging labor for money, are just giving away the surplus of whatever they have available to people who will appreciate that, and then we tend to each other with our surpluses. And when everyone who has a surplus feels abundant enough to share that, then that's an insurance for the future that someone else will have a surplus and share that abundance with them. And that's the way the economy used to be. There's a great book called Debt, The First 5,000 Years by David Graeber, who was this anthropologist that was involved in the Occupy movement, and he died recently, which is a little suspicious to me, but you know, I mean, I can't prove anything. But it's funny because he was such a critic of capitalism. He's very anarchist. And this book is amazing. It talks about how before we had money, we didn't even have a barter system. The barter system was created because when people used money but they didn't have money, then they would resort to barter for their lack of money, which is also a threat to the people who create the money, because they want you to use the money and not be able to interact unless you have it. So the barter was saying, well, you know, we don't have this money that these people artificially keep scarce to everyone but themselves, but we can just use the value of that money to peg our things to one another and exchange like that. But before the money existed, it wasn't even that. It was this gift economy where people would just give away things when they had plenty of it. Or like in the Indian village, one woman, I saw a video recently, she said that in the village where her family was from, when the married couple gets married, the village all comes together to build a house for them. And the only agreement is that when another couple gets married, they're going to help build their house. Yeah. And that's the agreement. And everyone has a house, and no one in Vanguard and BlackRock don't own those houses. And they don't cost $400,000 to build. And they're done quickly, and they're beautiful, and they have personality, and you know, they're enough for the people. Yeah, like that's the world we live in right now. Like us together in this little moment, we come together, we share what we have, we make some cool exchanges, we offer to help, right? You went to go and pick up Rye from the airport. I was like, hey, I'll watch your trailer so you don't have to drive with that. So you're like, cool. And then you're like, you want some food? I'm cooking something anyways. Like, thank you. And then, you know, I love that that kind of reciprocity and people just offering what they have, and it's so appreciated, the energy. Yeah. Just to, you know, like, hey, I don't want to be a freeloader. I want to give too. It feels good to give.
It does.
It's like there's reward to it.
Communal, more or less.
Yeah.
Well, that's my favorite thing about, like, smoking weed, for example, is, like, I don't, like, yeah, I smoke alone all the time, but I would much rather prefer to share my own weed, no matter how much I spent on it, with somebody else, because it's the social aspect for me. It's, you know, about giving and enjoying each other in different ways, you know. Passing
the sacrament is so much more enriching. Passing in a circle rather than just like everyone have their own, and You know, like I really like that the passing, like this kind of communal sharing of the sacred chalice or whatever it is that's being ingested. Gathering in circle and like sharing communal food and music. That's one of the big lessons, was just like the campfire, the food sharing, and the music sharing, and that those things are so important to our ancient roots. Like before history, those were things were what we were doing with our time. And working together, like helping out, right? Like I love going to places. Like I can't make my own garden somewhere because I'm not stationary enough to tend it. But when I visit a person with a garden, I'll totally do a weeding day with them, or you know what I mean, like help them harvest some things. And like it's so great just to go and visit places, and you know, it doesn't have to be my dog to take like a little notice, like it would be the dog of where I live for now. You know, it's like or like those raccoons, just be like, hey guys, you live here, all right, like we're kind of your guests, so welcome.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a story, Rai, about your entry into van world or anything like that? Or
I don't know. Kind of, I put in 20 years in a career and was burned out. I needed to go kind of reset. I started in a minivan just going on vacation. I had a relationship fall apart and was just about bankrupt, where I needed to take some time off, kind of reassess myself, and I went on a road trip to Arizona to visit with some retired friends, and I stumbled across the van life thing. I really didn't know it was a thing. And then, of course, once I found it, then you can get into YouTube and that wormhole, and kind of just kept growing from there. I watched some people and put a camper on the back of my pickup truck and traveled for a year that way. It was just too small. And then I built a box truck out that I live in now. And this is going on 6 years now, living in vehicles.
nice.
Full time, of all crazy things.
Asking you again.
Piper, where are we?
We are at the finest dining establishment in Tampa, Florida. This is La Teresita. On the diner side, not the fine dining side. And we're not at the market, we're not at the bakery. We're at this beautiful granite top zigzag style diner. Pink walls, bar stools, swivel stools, I guess. Wait, can I get a...
Perdón. Oiled. So I guess I need to order something, but this menu is so amazing. There's so many different beautiful things.
Oh, and then this is the salsa de ajo. It's the garlic sauce.
Oh my goodness. Garlic sauce, and that goes with the bread?
You can dip the bread in it.
Oh, wow.
I like... Well, see, I usually pour it on my motos, but I guess it'll be good on this too.
My goodness.
It's kind of good on everything, like garlic butter.
Yeah. And if you eat that, you don't... If you want to kiss someone, they should also eat that too, right? Because after, it's going to be so strong.
It's properly prepared garlic. So
Really?
It doesn't have it, yeah. If
So
you
it's
cook
not-
garlic properly, it doesn't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
had a
just listened to
partner
a
who
podcast
didn't
with
like it.
Rick Headley, who was just like, yeah, most people just don't know how to cook
Really?
garlic in a way that doesn't. It's like there's like these sensitive chemical compounds. And,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because my old partner, couldn't handle garlic at all, and then when I ate it, she didn't like the way it smelled.
You want me?
Sí. Pescado a la marinara.
Marinera.
Marinera.
Pisai.
Y quiero un...
No, this side here.
The side is just included here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, those, okay. Yeah, nice. Y plátanos fritos. Y
Yellow rice, more rice, fried.
more
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Gracias.
That's good. That's a good. You picked
Necesito
good.
practicar mi español.
And then you can use some of this on your
Great.
rice and beans. It's really great.
Gracias.
Use some of this ajo garlic sauce.
Okay, so I didn't understand that the sides were also included when you mentioned the price. Okay, that's great. What a great deal. But yeah, my partner, she couldn't handle the garlic. She didn't like the way it felt in her stomach. So then she couldn't eat it. And when I ate it and she didn't like the way I smelled. So after we broke up, after a long relationship, I ate so much garlic. I was like, come here to me, babe.
No, I absolutely love garlic, but yeah, if it's not prepared in certain ways, it just tear my stomach up.
Yeah. But I do like raw garlic. It's very medicinal too.
Yeah, it tears my stomach up, but I usually just tough it out when I'm using it for medicine because it works.
You know, like 1 clove of garlic can go a long way for prevention. Or like a sore throat, you can...
Just like clove of garlic, drink cayenne,
Ooh.
and
Even a clove of garlic in the ear. I've had ear infections, and then you puncture the garlic to mix the 2 compounds, the allicin and the other, I don't remember the other name of the compound, but when they mix and then you can put it in your ear and it can get rid of ear infection, even yeast infections as well, I've heard.
that's part of why you want to smash garlic. It's not just so that it feels easy, it's so that it mixes, then you chop it.
Yep. Yeah, I always smash it with the side of the knife. So yeah, this restaurant's pretty historical, I guess, huh?
Shit, 1920 something?
Beautiful.
I mean, mi abuela, well, she's like a great grandma, actually. Like, yeah, she knew the owners, and then, her children came here, and then their children took me here when I was a part of that. From like the span of like 8 years old to like 16.
Nice.
Before I left my mom. She was the kind that married and stick with family. But she was toxic, so I had to leave all that behind.
Unfortunately, sometimes boundaries means removing yourself, right?
Oh, and this has still always been my comfort food. Like that never changed.
Yeah, so when you come here, it has a whole other significance than me trying it for the first time.
I have literally cried multiple times. Like when I tried the cazuela, I hadn't had it since like mi abuela made it. Like I forgot what it tasted like until I made a taste buds, and I just started crying. It's just like a whip.
I can imagine it just brings all kinds of, like if you had the last time you ate something was a moment that was pretty heavy emotionally, then the smell and the taste of that will bring up resurface those feelings, right?
Like, abuela, she was amazing. Like she was the one good constant in like a whirlwind of trauma, like just horrible shit going on between my very broken family. So
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
I mean, it makes sense though that in a traditional family structure, grandparents have a large role in the child care of the grandchildren. They have more patience, they have more experience, they can handle things much more easily than the younger parents who have the more of the burden of doing the work. And I mean, when you have the ability to do that, oh my goodness.
Well, and she didn't speak the lick of English, so she communicated by saying, "Hey, Linda," and hugging me and comforting me and hugging me, and I learned a little bit more over time. I've lost most of my Spanish speaking knowledge just with trauma brain, But
Interesting.
I try to start learning again, and then I lose it again. But I think that's something back here. This is kind of a weekly thing for us at this point. And I'm noticing I'm starting to remember some things, and I'm starting to remember parts of Tampa that normally I would black out or it would disappear from my brain. So I have a lot of trouble navigating these areas.
Right.
But I'm starting to remember, we take this street over here, and that's where this is, and it's been really healing. just like coming here with my baby partner.
Healing with food.
Us meeting and getting to know each other. The first few weeks or whatever was just all synchronicity and green flags.
Yeah.
Green flags are my favorite colored flags. I like rainbow flags too, though. Well, I'm gonna take a photo.
Oh yeah. I don't know how Teresita came up, but we were just like, yeah, best place.
When you met, you already both knew this place and you loved
It's
it.
like, favorite place, best
She
place.
came here with her dad.
Like back in the day?
When I brought actually, my dad recognized that he'd been here when I brought him here. Wow, I pushed that away. Thank you. I forgot about that. Just like the last year of my dad's life, like we weren't really close, and you know, we're kind of even. He got like a cancer diagnosis after they thought he was in remission, and I
Sorry to hear that.
spent like the last year of his life with him, and it was really this kind of like tormentous thing because I get like my eating out habits from him. I think. Like he and I both, like I in Kansas City and he here, we had like our little like our tour map of where the cheap, beautiful local establishments were that we were regulars at, and like kind of like, oh, I have this job here. This is where I'm gonna go for lunch.
Your regular spot.
Different spot, like okay, this is like, you know, like in Kansas City, I would eat at Tacos Lupe's Ricos like 3 times a week. It would be like, okay, Taco Tuesday, typically friends want to go on that day. You got $2 burrito day and $4 torta day, you know, like these different like specials. And I just would go like, you know, clockwork. I'd always get like 2 or 3 burritos to last me through the week.
Nice.
Just being like, there's just beautiful food around, wanting to support local folks, being like a white artist person living in a Mexican neighborhood, and because I had a house venue, like, and
Where were you living?
like right around the corner from La Esquina. I could
Like at
see
Summit.
I could see Royal Liquors from my a little past Summit. I could see Royal Liquors
Jefferson.
from my porch. I could see the back of Taqueria Mexico.
So like that in the crossroads kind of area, but on that, I don't know what's that neighborhood called.
They call it like the southwest side, the southern west side. But it's funny because it's like south meaning down the hill, not south meaning like compass south. Everybody would always say, you know, west side south, like with like kind of a grin on their face, knowing that it was wrong, but it was, you know, worked.
It's funny because
In that like kind of, you know, provisional way.
its own directionality. Like when I'm in Kansas City, I always think of this like the south of the city as the north. So my compass is completely turned around, and I'm always confusing north and south in Kansas City. For some reason, I think that like Overland Park and Olathe, that those are to the north, and then North Kansas City is in the south. It's so weird.
But it was. My dad had he was in remission from colon cancer for 4 years. And when I was a kid, he had his surgery on his duodenum. It's kind of like a valve between your intestine and your stomach.
Okay.
And he had this procedure called a half Whipple, where they, you know, named after the doctor
Whipple.
who came up with it. But it also like is funny because they kind of like they cut the duodenum out and then like they like redirect. They cut the duodenum out and then like wrap your stomach around and the intestine. Like they do this little whoop-de-doo. Like they put a little clover exit on it, like the highway,
My goodness.
And
basically really twisting your guts in a knot.
not quite a knot, but a little bit. Yeah, it seemed from what he described. And so that happened when I was a kid. Then he had colon cancer, and I was kind of just a pretty pissed, misanthropic, checked out, wild.
That when I met you,
dark magic person when that happened, and I sort of just was I kind of pushed it aside.
Yeah.
I don't owe you any favors kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a coping strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew it would always catch up with him, and he never did anything to help himself out in that regard, so I felt like it was just what he was asking for, and I kind of always just figured I would let him die alone, and just didn't want to deal with him. I didn't cut him out, but I didn't want to deal with him. He had this habit of enmeshing himself in these lives that he claimed to be helping, but it was really just this web of enablement that was really weird. And so I kind of did a them or me thing, and he couldn't help but choose them out of habit. So I think I would have had to be active in that shift, and I don't know, I wasn't equipped for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So then,
it's hard.
The last year, we were hanging out, and he when the cancer came back, it came back in his omentum. It was a peritoneal cancer, so it was the lining between. It's your cavity lining that all your organs are inside of.
Like the fascia. The fascia.
Yeah, and then the omentum's particularly a fatty body within that is the immune system for your digestive system. And it moves around. When you have an issue, it kind of grows to that area and produces white blood cells. And so when it gets cancer, it just starts growing. It hacks that ability for it to grow, and it just grows. It even grows its own vesicles.
Oh my goodness.
It just grows, and it squishes all your other organs.
Yeah, it's like a city that has too much access to cheap petroleum. Just we're growing 100 million.
Boomtown for sure. Boomtown for sure. Boomtown that leads to a ghost town.
Yep, eventually.
And so, it affected his breathing. It affected his eating. He just felt full all the time.
He had to move out because it was taking up too much space.
Yeah, but the thing is his whole life was structured around going to these restaurants, and food was kind of the main vice he chose in a way, or not vice, but the coping mechanism for sure. He just, food had so much to do with his life, and he didn't know how to change that habit. He just didn't know how to change that. So even though his stomach was shrinking, we would still go to restaurants every day. And one of those days, I forget why we were over here even. You know what? No, I don't. I remember, I think maybe my car got a flat or something when I was at the American Legion over in Seminole Heights, and I got a ride back to St. Pete, or I stayed with a friend maybe. Yeah, I stayed with a friend and he helped me. I think that's what happened. I stayed with a friend and he helped me the next day, met up with me, and then I brought him here. And I was like, yeah, if we're gonna eat somewhere in Tampa, we're eating this place. It's our spot. It's our kind of spot.
Yeah.
The places that he would go to in St. Pete were Munch's, Skyway Jack's, Christina's, Kissin' Cousins, the one I was telling you about.
Yeah. They sound like they all have very classic 1950s signs in my mind.
More it's just a white sign with blue block lettering that just says Christina's. very simple.
Yeah.
Munches had the 50s thing because they'd been around since the 40s. But I guess kissing cousins, those too. They got like the neon cursive with two little Dutch kids kissing each other.
Kissing cousins.
And yeah, I brought him here, and he liked it.
Wow.
I took him to a vegan restaurant one time.
What did you think of that?
He liked it. He was like, wow.
You want both?
Oh no, I'm slowly eating. It's so delicious though.
Okay.
Actually, I was holding it.
We're still working on it too, yeah.
I was gonna offer. Did you guys want to try the fish? And if you never tried it before, there's.
Plan de queso? Okay.
Hey, can I get what is this coffee called?
Cortadito. They're fast. I'm not in the mood for fish right now.
Okay.
I've always been more drawn to the fried fish. I'm from Florida, but I have this tentative relationship with seafood.
Oh.
And I think I grew up in a house that was like catty corner to the back of a popular seafood restaurant.
So maybe I just smell fish all the time, and that's what.
Or just to like know the people who work there, and like it was just gross to me. Or like growing up with a red tide, it's just like no, dude.
Wait, cortadito?
Yeah.
Oh. Pardon.
I got you. Señora, uno más cortadita, por favor.
cortadito, claro.
Cortadito, sí. Gracias. Sí, poco. It's really not good without sugar.
Yeah.
So.
Cortadito. Wow, well, that's great. I'm glad I can experience this place with you, and to hear your stories, both of you, about the relationship with familial trauma and food. It's a really interesting topic I never quite thought about before, but now I'm really curious about the greater scope of that. I feel like it's going to come out in discussions further down the line. I mean, that could be its own podcast, just about food and trauma. Like, isn't there a Vietnamese chef on TikTok, or maybe not chef, but someone sharing recipes, and they're talking about the horrors of the Vietnam War, but they're using cooking. This has become a thing now where people are using cooking and showing recipes, but then they're talking about all of this historical stuff, especially
it's so easy.
wars and the trauma of that, and there's so much in the food.
Well, look at these dishes that have been passed down from generation to generation. Like, what did you tell me recently about the potato salad?
About potato salad.
Oh yeah, Greek salad traditionally, right, doesn't have potato salad in it, and that was a product of the U.S. Navy. Greek salad was one of the most popular dishes on this ship.
Gracias.
On this particular naval ship, and
they put potatoes.
They added potato salad. Like, okay, my crew loves eating this, and that's good, but it needs they have a requirement for a certain status quo of protein per meal. So, potato salad, and then they probably had a side of bean soup, good old Navy bean soup, and
Navy beans, huh?
That's how white beans got that name. Is that it was like a
Navy beans.
staple,
I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. With some ham chunks,
Yeah, because Greek salad, I think of Greek salad as more with olive, tomato, cucumber, and lettuce. Like that's what, and olive oil.
Well, even like the Greek, a lot of like Grecian Greek salads won't even have the lettuce. It's just the cucumber,
cucumber, tomato, and
the feta,
olive
oil.
That's right.
The olives.
I mean, that kind of salad is not just Greek. It's very Balkan.
Yeah.
They have it everywhere.
Yeah.
The cucumber tomato mix is very popular in Turkey, and there's all these versions of it.
Yeah.
I think in Bulgaria they call it shopska salata, with the Bulgarian cheese, not feta. Sirene. It's
I was
different.
gonna say, it's really good. There's one fruit stand on 4th Street by where I was living that they have the Bulgarian stuff, and it's fucking. They just call it Bulgarian feta to like make it easy for Americans, but
they hate that. They don't. It's like this is not feta. It is Bulgarian. They have their own bacteria, Lactobacillus bulgaricus, that makes the yogurt. Bulgarian yogurt. It's not Greek yogurt. It's not Greek. It's not feta cheese. It's it's Syrene.
yeah. I mean, I think the people that own the place are Bulgarian, but that's just just to make it easy for people.
Yeah. But they make sure to say Bulgarian feta.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, we were just talking about that too. I was.
Wait, where's this Bulgarian place? I should go there and say hi.
It's in St. Pete.
Oh, okay.
I was feeling. You'll be back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was feeling really. I really needed to eat earlier, so when we were getting gas, there was a little Honduran food truck in the parking lot, and we grabbed a couple. I thought they'd have pupusas, but
those are great.
They had empanadas, and we grabbed some of those, and I thought it was, Honduran crema was what it would come with, like a little, it did not taste like what I know Honduran crema to taste like. I don't know if they cut it with mayonnaise or something. But it was
disgusting.
I was being nice, but
No, it reminded me. My mom likes to call it Miracle Whip.
no, I swear they cut it with mayonnaise.
It felt like watered down Miracle Whip.
Watered down.
I can't stand Miracle Whip or mayonnaise really.
Oh, I love regular mayonnaise.
Unless it's like very sparing on the Cuban sandwich, I don't want it.
I used to hate mayonnaise. It grossed me out so much growing up. When I love it. I love it really. Wow.
I've made it myself a couple of times.
Oh, that's
It's just better that way.
and that's fine. It makes sense. It's just like the things you have to do, the perversions you have to do to a recipe to make it mass producible.
Right. Yeah, because like real mayonnaise, what is it? It's like egg white with vinegar and some salt, and what else? Is that basically
Oil.
it? Oil. That's
A
it.
lot of oil, yeah.
And you just blend it up.
And you can, you can tweak those things to make it more one thing or the other.
I've got one of these Asian mayonnaises, like I don't know if it's Japanese, the Kewpie one.
yeah.
I'm just traveling around with it in my car, but it seems to be fine. I feel like it stays pretty good. Like,
No, Kewpie is like
weird.
very processed.
it's so
very-
preserved.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. I've got like this whole like little rack of condiments, and they're not refrigerated, but I feel like they're all got so much vinegar that it's pretty hard for them to turn.
She used to keep, to my dismay, with my OCD, she used to keep kimchi in her car. She always had a bag of kimchi.
And how did it
It was
smell?
just like the emergency kimchi. That's why it's not this new vehicle.
It smelled like a Korean grandma's house.
I would get so much shit for that. I guess I just didn't. It doesn't register as a bad smell to me.
Yeah. I remember the first
No,
time
I
I
smelled
went.
it. It just didn't register as a bad smell.
The first time I went to a Korean household when I was in junior high. I had some Korean friends, and I just remember being like, "What is that smell? What is that?" But when I tasted it,
It tastes like that smell, but I don't want to get into that. Like, get
In a
into
hot
it.
car.
Yeah,
And the
summer Florida car.
Late summer.
yeah.
I was maybe. I acknowledge I was kind of pushing it on that one.
But that's very cute. Were you making your own kimchi, like just having a fermentation going, or you just would go buy it at the market?
No,
and
it was
keep
like
it
I
there?
got some. My mom goes to they have a pantry at her building, and nobody in the building is gonna eat. Like there's a few people that would eat kimchi, and of course there's would be boxes of it, right? So I would always get some kimchi, or like Publix has this one brand of kimchi, and it's on. They do BOGO sales, so it'll go on BOGO, and I'll get it. But yeah.
It's fun to make though too. I mean,
Yeah, well,
it's
that's
so
the thing.
cheap.
I normally have. The thing is, I've been like since pandemic, I've been a couch surfer, caregiver, without my own space, and every space I've been in was not. It would not be permitted or conducive to my usual thing, whereas I'd have like 3 different kombuchas going, tons of kimchi, just like tons of lacto pickles. Like I like to just chop up my like my broccoli stems and my kale stems and ferment those.
Yeah.
I actually have.
Did you ever do watermelon rind?
Yes.
That's really nice.
That's a completely different kind of
So
fermentation.
interesting.
Yeah. But it's so good. I really like it. And I only did it once. It's a little more complicated.
Really, I just did it with the salt water.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. No, we used
Is that a vinegar one?
citric acid.
Oh.
You
Oh.
put citric acid or something like that. It's like, which is like kind of difficult. Like it doesn't work for every pickle. I might be remembering that wrong. This was over 10 years ago.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Like, definitely Kansas. Like we were talking about this before, how Kansas City really gave the leg up. Like, I remember learning about kombucha. I think it was John Kraft. I was over at Ashley's house.
Yeah.
And John was like talking about something, and he mentioned kombucha, and I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just like mushroom tea." And then, like a week later, there's this tiny farmer's market on 39th Street, and lo and behold, there was someone selling kombucha.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta try this. So I
Was
did.
it in a bowl or a
It was
bottle?
in a mason jar. And at that time I wasn't making my own, but I tried it and it was like pretty good. So it was really interesting to taste it. And I remember also like hearing about like kale. I remember when that was like something no one knew about eating, but kale and collard greens were really popping up on the radar. And that was back in like 2002. That was 20 years ago. I was.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, yeah. Wow, okay. Yeah, I do love that about Kansas City is like so many places had gardens, so many places, everybody was pickling. You could like, it really wasn't unusual to do like a pickle trade.
Yeah.
With somebody.
Yeah, because you get a little bored of your own pickles, but then
I
having
totally
someone
remember
else's pickle is pretty good.
Well, I didn't really like messing with like, whole cucumber dill pickles. But I would trade like, kimchi and kombucha for pickles.
How are you?
Because I do like to eat them.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just never liked messing with pickling them. I feel like I wouldn't care now. I want to pickle everything because I've been gone from it. But we would do really weird stuff too. Like, I remember making Chang, which is this like banana millet beer, and I'm not even like, I'm really kind of weird about bananas.
Yeah, I had some banana wine. It was really weird tasting.
Yeah, and it's also
Justin
not
made it.
only that, it's like it's more like an alcoholic porridge. Like it's a thick beer. It was gross, and it was like really hard to make. I malted my own millet. But yeah, we would do stuff like that all the time. People would just be like,
It's an intense group of people who like to do intense things. I mean, Colin was like, I want to make my own bow to hunt. That's the only way I want to eat meat,
I was working on my own bow in Kansas City. That's the thing. Again,
So intense.
there was that guy Wayne in the bottoms. That guy Wayne. All you had to do was buy a stave from them, and then you could go to his shop on Wednesdays in the evening, and they'd be making bows.
Oh, really? So there was like a whole collective for that?
It wasn't a collective; it was just Wayne. But yeah,
He
there
had
was
the stuff.
Yeah. Well, no, okay. There was a couple old guys that would do it.
Bow
Wayne,
making.
yeah, no, it was amazing.
It's like, we don't do knitting, we make bows. We are so masculine.
Actually, one of them did knitting also. They weren't like that actually.
That's good, okay.
But Wayne, no, he was like,
Because anyone can make a bow, and
he
anyone
was
can
into
knit,
prim
right?
skill stuff. He teached, what's the fire?
Oh, like starting a fire from
There's a word
wood.
for it. No, they have a name for it.
But they also have
practice.
it's also kind of a bow, right? I mean, I guess that tool is
Yeah,
basically
you can carve those with the same
thing.
And you use hedge, and that's the thing is hedge is a tree that's plentiful in Missouri.
And it's really flexible.
No, it's bows have nothing to do with flexibility. It's more the shape that they grow in and stuff.
Oh, okay. It's a very straight.
But it is. I mean, it's okay. I'm on a step there. Yes and no.
Because you don't want it to snap. It has to have that.
It's.
It has to have a long, straight grain.
A pliant hardwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Very oily, which is how it gets that pliant
Suppleness.
Yeah.
It doesn't dry out completely. And you have to oil the bow to keep it that way then, or does it maintain it?
No, the wood is just that way. I mean, I don't know, dude.
Are they still doing that? Are they still doing that? I would like to meet
Wayne
this
was
guy.
pretty old.
Okay, so it's.
But I can look into it and let you know.
I would love to make my own bow.
And what's
honestly.
cool is my unfinished bow might just still be sitting in his workshop waiting for me to come back. Like he's very long, deep time that way.
I like
but
that.
he was also trying to maybe travel more with his kid. His kid, like, did you know Louis in Kansas City?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He had a house on the west side where a bunch of people would live, and it would be like a place where like the cyclists would go hang out after a big cycle, a big rat race or whatever there was going on, critical mass. And but yeah, and he was a construction, like one of those. That's the other thing. Lots of like artists and weirdos in construction in Kansas City.
Construction, I feel, is one of those professions where people who do that profession enough time will become their own kind of genius, or already are before. If you know how to build a house, you know so much stuff about everything. You got to know about electricity, plumbing, the sunlight, the landscape, the terrain, flooding, wind, as space management.
Most of it's knowing who to call when you need to do one of those things you don't know how to do.
You're right. Like, I mean, to be a general contractor, but a good general contractor has a little bit of experience in all of the different elements, so they understand how it fits together.
The contract office and the floodplain management.
Yeah, floodplain management. So many flooded basements I've seen. But I love it. I love, people who are handy, just like, they have such a broad knowledge.
You know, I had this pace of like doing all the things all the time. 3 or 4 shows I played. 3 or 4 shows with 3 different bands. I don't know. You know, play all these shows, book all these shows, go to these shows. Try to go to all art shows. I'm working. I'm keeping an art practice. I'm in like study groups. I'm in blah blah blah, doing all these things, and then it got to be where like, you know, I went too hard and went too far, like drove myself kind of crazy and like stopped everything. And then I was still go, right? I was like support groups, therapy, working a lot, you know, that kind of thing.
I know. And even when you're taking your rest, you're going hardcore on that.
and then, you know, like I was kind of like taking a break from everything, just, you know, focusing on art and working, and then pandemic hit, and then, you know, how we all know how that affected things, and then, you know, so then it's like I get back into things because I actually can.
Yeah,
but
which is great.
On an internal and external level, and now I'm finding like I kind of just don't want to. Like I had to prove to myself that I can, and now I'm just like, I don't have, you know, I'm not 25 anymore. And my ambitions are different. I'm not alone anymore. Like I'm not on my own.
Having a partner makes a big difference in the need to go out. Like,
well, it was never that for me. Like I didn't like going out to meet people in that way.
Well, but to like just come fellowship anyway, you know.
Because even when I was in partnerships, it was just known that I would be out doing things. I had a habit of being more introverted folks for some reason, or maybe they found me as their outlet to like feel like they were out in the world without not having to actually do it. But you know, but I have this habit of always wanting to like come home and chill and be at home. But then
it's a nice thing to do though when you have a place to be home.
Yeah,
it's
well,
pretty great.
I don't have that. I have a person to be home at. I don't have a place yet, but
a person can be your home.
You do, but we also like to be at home.
They're
we
both
want
important.
a home to be at home at. It's been. I'm glad we were. The conversation just keeps going back to these things of like, I miss
Tell me about
having the like catch-all like big dining room table where you make art and you make food and just try not to get fermentation juice on your drawings, and if you do, that's part of it.
Right.
God.
Yeah, a room of one's own, a space of your own. I mean, this is coming back to like
My library is like spread all over the city and it's really driving me nuts.
yeah, you can't just reach on the shelf. I was talking to my friend Tina before this, and we have this conversation. She's in Serbia, and we were talking. She said she found this village house that was 10,000 euros, but you have to do a lot of work on it. But I'm like, wow, you could have a village house in Serbia for like $20,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could afford to buy a house like that. I cannot afford a $400,000 suburban house, but I could definitely afford $20,000. And I'm like, and it's like, wouldn't it be great to just find a Serbian village with everyone getting old and selling their houses for 10 grand, and buy that up with a bunch of artists and make a sweet experience, I would love that. I just love the idea of buying up a village with some people.
You have no
never have
idea
their
what a
own houses.
monster you're creating right now. Kirst is going to be searching for.
Oh no, I've already looked. It's
You've looked in Serbia?
Well, not in Serbia.
Yeah, Serbia,
but
Macedonia,
overseas
Bulgaria.
And all sorts of different places, and there's a lot of programs like that
Yeah.
where
And you wouldn't
villages
think of it like
are-
Norway and Sweden. Lots of cheap real estate there.
Freaking cold in the winter though. Yeah, the long nights, right? Svalbard, for example. Yeah.
I guess I love that. So I miss being cold.
Yeah, I mean, you would start a black metal project, definitely.
Probably just skip straight
You
to
would
like
just do it.
Viking band, yeah. Like Wardruna.
Wardruna's, I would do a Wardruna project.
Yeah.
But so you're researching something like this?
Well, for a long time I've been toying around with Vermont.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's almost like
I don't think it's a compulsion.
it is a compulsion, and I do have OCD, so that's accurate.
That's a good compulsion, though. It's useful.
It's like a thing that I find comforting is, because I'm always looking at housing all over the place, because housing is so obscene.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to do it in Florida. There's
Right.
no way.
Yeah.
I mean, in the like you can, but then it's like it won't. It won't feel secure. Like you could find
Okay.
like.
Maybe we can't.
A house on stilts in the Everglades.
Well, no, there's like that's the thing is like even if there are a lot of weed nuts in Florida still, and you could
Florida man is a thing.
cheap. Well, no, not Florida.
No, Florida man's all right.
They're Ohio transplants specifically.
Retired Midwest
Okay.
wing nuts, or people that live across seas and they just don't give a shit about what's happening.
But yeah.
Like I have some friends that they have like an Australian landlord. He hasn't raised their rent since like 2015, so it's
That's
like
not a bad thing.
$650, right? But which is unheard of here. Now there's small one-bedroom houses, like row houses kind of thing, but still, even for that, like I mean, there's like places like that going for $2,500 a month.
Yeah, oh my God.
In this area, probably $3 at this point.
Yeah.
And people paying thousands of dollars a month for a closet. It's crazy here. But there
Even in
are
Kansas City's
opportunities,
like
but
that.
like it's a trade-off. It's also like, well, it's still expensive to operate. It's still expensive to get construction supplies and do all these things. And it's, but I don't know. It's like just the like there's like some collective farms more northern Florida area outside of Gainesville, Tallahassee.
That's kind of where I'm heading next.
Yeah, you're going to that Primskills meetup.
Yeah, there's gonna be it's on someone's farm, so probably they're into that scene.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the place?
No, I don't remember the name, but I'll find it and
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it after.
But there's always that kind of thing, but then I feel like that has its own set of stressors. Whereas if we look in other places, we're more likely to find something where we can just not be attached to other people as much in a like dependent way. Of course, I'm always gonna want community life.
Well, I think we're going to draw a community to us.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to be dependent on like
Interdependence
some
is the
lucky
thing, right?
hippie boomer wingnut that has some land or something.
You know, you don't want to be a serf.
dependent on
You don't want to be a serf to a vassal of some neo-feudal person.
No matter how cool they are.
I mean, it's okay temporarily. Like I can live on someone's land and help them out, and as long as I have the knowledge that I don't need to be there and that I'm independent and I'm there on my own choice, and they know that, then the relationship can be pretty strong. But when if you have no income and no money and you're on their land, they can basically make you do whatever they want, and you really become at their mercy. So independence is necessary for a good community. Needs everyone to be able to take care of themselves, and then they work together, right? Like if you can't stand up on your own, and then you're always pulling other people down to stand up, then everyone's going to be on the ground soon enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need a group of people to help us up. But when you're drowning, you can't get someone out of the water. You need to climb out of the water, and then you can reach down and give them a hand or throw them a line.
And I do feel like the community of provisional lifestyles, like if you take drugs out of the picture, like I have to admit that I do share a lot with meth heads because of like problem solving skills, right?
Yes, please, thank you.
Like
like just
fixing
DIY.
cars, like with nothing and things like that. But it's like,
You finish?
I would like a box, please. Yeah.
Yes?
Gracias. Yes, sí.
Okay.
It was so good.
I would like to, you know.
No, bro.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's
No, but it's
just the meth work ethic. The work ethic of meth head is quite strong at times. But it's also very Slavic or Balkan to like repair things rather than to buy a new one.
Right,
I like that
I
too.
guess in the States, it's like I lived in a warehouse in Kansas City, and my building mate was like a meth head dude, and so we would help each other out. Like, oh hey, like can I run? I would. Yeah, just like running things off generators and running extension cords here and there, and like fixing things very provisionally, and like we got along in that way.
Right.
But then it's like I don't really want to be like, when is it gonna snap? I know that it snaps.
When are they going to be short some money and then they need to get their fix, and then suddenly your catalytic converter's gone?
Yeah, well, yeah. It was. Something like that happens.
Unless they make their own meth, which is cool. Then they're independent. Like an independent meth head, unless they're bringing in if they're selling it, and then that becomes another problem.
It was like I transitioned from not living there anymore, and so eventually like most of the metal things I was storing there went missing. Right?
All the pipes and everything.
Well, no, I just had like a vintage like really nice sturdy metal desk.
Oh like a cast iron stove or something like that too.
Yeah, well so there's those things that are, but it's like that community though, or like even like punk stuff. It's like I don't know. I'm wanting something different.
Yeah, people that are respectful. Respect is number one, huh? Boundaries.
Yeah. Or it's just more like an enclave of sovereign units. Right?
Yes.
You said, like a bunch of people that each go by their own things.
Their own space.
You could all incorporate that into a land trust.
Right. You can make this is a village versus a commune.
You've got your contract that this is my domain.
Yes.
That's yours.
Right.
And then there might be a common space in the middle.
Yep. Like sovereign micro spaces with maybe a communal area to have a fire and a collective meal sometimes, or workshops.
Just a big barn.
Yeah.
With like really long table and then like an area for cooking and stuff, but like a little kitchenette, but like a really long table for like playing games or like having discussion.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We don't agree on what the common space should be. There has to be a whole nother common
Well, you could each have your own house.
I specifically want one that's for gaming and like
You want one that
More than one common space is nice.
Because you're perhaps
Well, yeah.
people pleasing, his neuroses.
Well, also, if we're gonna have a place for us to play very expensive, beautiful board games, they're
There's
not
no-
gonna be getting to
like Settlers of Catan.
We will have like a better than that, but
I just don't know that
Special.
expensive board games is something that even should be carried into the future.
Come on.
honey, I've got boxes.
Wait,
No,
Boxes
me and
already.
Are you a Warhammer
Never
player?
mind. No.
What do we do when we're like, hunkered down or whatever?
Snowed in the winter?
We have to carve tools for the next season.
Okay, you can do that
You
too.
still have downtime. You have to have like downtime as like
You
some
clearly
downtime.
haven't lived this way.
It's better that I'd rather play expensive board games than scrolling all the time.
There's no cell phones either.
Come on, you know what, you're gonna just become Amish.
I'm not going to. The whole country is. Like when we are put in a like complete, total, permanent media blackout.
Then that the games will be really useful. People will come over to play and you have
Thank you.
fun. I support your game.
We will make many candles for these purposes.
What's the point of having a great hall if you're only gonna stick a kitchenette in it? You need
I would
the-
like a full kitchen.
the great-
I'm
no,
just
no,
thinking
Like a
Grand
hearth that you can cook
grand
inside.
kitchen. Ooh.
That's where the communal baking happens, and perhaps meat processing. Like I think there's just more. Like I feel like this idea that I've heard from you before, like necessitated that there be infrastructure, that there be other places where real shit happens, and I just don't think there will ever be that in this.
This is a big struggle with communities because like the communities I visited where everyone has their own house, and when they're trying to decide on a communal space, it's very difficult because everyone's so involved in building their house that they don't have energy to put into building the community space.
Well, what I've found, like, there's a place called Waldo Farm, and the community space is the house of like the founders.
Okay, so they
like,
just decide to open up that space for
Yeah.
everyone except for the private rooms.
yeah, and that works for them. Like they've got a gym in there, and the library, and like the record collection. And I guess
You
this
want
is
people coming to
actually
your house all the time.
this is what we've come in. This is what we've come to anyway. Is that like even in our private home, we will have an inside kitchen, and
That's my kitchen.
I'll have the outside kitchen.
Yeah, like
that's
the
like
the
kind
barbecue
of greasy
or the,
and
with the like a pizza oven or
And
something.
we both want to
And in
film,
between
so
is
like
the-
bonfire pizza and stuff.
Yeah.
in between there would be the the fermentation shed. That's the main thing is like
Keep the kimchi out of the sleeping area.
There has to be like a process, like it'd be a farm kitchen. It'd be for processing vegetables, and maybe I was just getting to that.
chickens and goats and stuff.
I'd want to be the spot like. There was a spot in Kansas City. If like somebody hit a deer or spotted something, you could always go to this house anytime you wanted, and they had a processing in their basement.
Oh my gosh.
Or not basement. It was like a garage thing.
On the road, I saw so many roadkill deer, and I was just like, if it was early in the morning, I would have grabbed it and just tried to figure out something. But it was in the afternoon. But yeah, roadkill. I roadkill
Yeah,
gathered a
police
squirrel.
together or separate?
We're together. Yeah. Gracias.
Perfecto. Muy rico, gracias.
Oh yeah, you got the farm.
It's fun to dream, but also realistic experience is too important for these community situations, right? Because there's no utopia. People never agree on
Well,
everything.
that's what I'm. Yeah, I don't think utopia was ever about agreeing, but I think that there just needs to be like, I guess in a communal space there should be like I guess it's a communal workspace and then a communal sacred space, which is what leisure
Sacred
is.
space is a good
Yeah.
idea too, like a place to have kind of a more
Maybe that's
quiet
it. Maybe that's was
complexion.
the dissonance in my own mind. It's like, oh, no, but I would never deny there being a church of sorts.
Right,
It's
like
like,
a
oh, that's
temple or
where
a
you would want to
chapel.
play games,
That's kind of like, I mean, it would be, very old school rudimentary, like wood beams, but like that is kind of what I see in my head. Is it's very,
And those
like
spaces,
a Quaker meeting hall.
and
kind
those
of
spaces, I feel like are
multi-purpose.
kind of like it's like you don't even have to speak it that those are kept really clean. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. But even that part almost, like, because I've been some places like that when they've got these little shrine areas in their house, but then they've got other areas that can be multi-purpose, like maybe one shrine you don't even go in unless you're doing something. Like they had one for the goddess. Like there were these Hindu people in Bulgaria. They had like a bunch of Shiva worship. They were doing all kinds of kirtan, and they had one room that was like the main room where they had a fire wood burning stove, and they would stay in there in the winter mostly. But there we would eat, we would play, we would sing and pray all in one space. But then they had other special areas that were for very specific ceremonies that you don't even go in there unless you're really on the topic. So sacred space can blend into the home. The kitchen can become a temple of its own right, and ideally everything we do is a kind of practice or meditation, right?
We already know every room is going to have at least one altar, one ofrenda,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and playing games has its place in spirituality. I mean, I love hanging out with Ashley at the Miller's compound on the solstices and equinoxes. Sometimes they're ninja became this kind of ceremonial.
Don't need anything expensive for ninja. You don't need anything expensive for ninja.
We've already spent the money on the games. We have enough games for the rest of our lives. We already have them.
When I come back here, I want to play some games.
I just feel like the amount, unfortunately for you, my darling, the amount of cleanliness and protection from the elements that these games necessitate is impossible in the future.
If they slowly degrade, so it is, right?
I'm not as.
And then that's the thing. Then they lose their luster. Then they're not as attractive.
I love worn out stuff that's
you do
well loved,
but for your dad to even be able to look at an Arkham game that's got worn out cards.
Go ahead and take this.
In some cases, the worn out is nice, but it's more like I don't know if you've ever played any intense game with someone who's very drunk and triggering your misophonia and stuff, just stuff all over their hands. It is. I don't care if it's checkers. It's not nice.
Yeah.
I don't care if you can touch the pieces.
I mean, even just sitting in the room with them can be unpleasant.
Exactly.
You're not conscious anymore.
That's the thing. You don't set a glass of ice water on a game board because we're going to leave a ring.
That'll be great because the ice will be really rare.
Hey, in Vermont winter, you might have more ice than you can handle.
I'm making snow slushies, baby.
What if you dig down and you put the ice in the straw like they used to do? You go to the lake in the winter and you gather those blocks of ice and then you put them in the basement.
We'll have to do that, I'm sure.
With the root cellar.
I'm not a big ice fan, so it'd be easy to let go of for me.
But it's good also for cold storage to have an ice box.
Then it was my brain went immediately, but for vegetables, yeah.
Or leftovers, vegetables. Primitive is good, but we don't have to step back. We can step forward,
not this talk.
But it's true.
It's not about taking steps. It's about reacting to steps being taken for you. So it's not I don't know. I just don't. There's also I guess it comes down to are people having the same conversation, right? It sounds like you guys are these ideas are more for a future in which there isn't collapse, whereas mine's obviously
total collapse.
Yeah.
But in the reality, it'll be in between those two things. Some things will collapse, some things will not, and we don't know what those things will be. But we're
not having cell phones. I'm telling you that much.
But there might be something, and there are a lot of cell phones that exist already that maybe could be repurposed. Maybe there'll be local mesh networks, and you can communicate wirelessly using an antenna to your neighbors, and you'll have an internet. You'll have there could be solar powered things. There could be
I just don't know that my tribe would be allowed access to those things.
Well, now you sound like The Village. That movie The Village, where they're fooling the kids, they're fooling the children to think there's monsters, so they don't go outside of the perimeter, and they all live this primitive life.
There's no making up the monsters we're gonna have to deal with. They're gonna be militarized zones with guns and
that. I mean, but then again, that's having the worst faith in humanity. But what I've seen is that people take care of one another.
I have great faith in humanity. That's not the worst faith. That's just the realistic thing. That's the thing that is being planned. That's the thing that's why police forces all over the country are being militarized. It is to protect the rich, to keep up their little lifestyle. It may only last a year like this, right? Who knows? You're right. After that, we don't know. But it is really inevitable. We've seen that the will of these people is very strong, and they've made sure that they can do what they want to do. And so there will be a period of time in which things are in which Israel and Palestine is what much of the world looks like.
Well, yeah, I mean that
is going to happen in some regard. So, I mean, yeah.
Israel is like a test for a global prison state, and it does appear that way, doesn't it? Although I will say that
it's no coincidence that they're training our police forces.
You know, there's no mistake why my name is Dandelion, because when I go on the sidewalks in the city and I see those dandelions poking through that concrete and breaking the concrete, that's what we will be.
Right.
And
but
we are already.
When we have these conversations, it's almost like we were saying, but they deny the existence of concrete in this conversation. Oh, you just have the worst ideas. Like, no, the concrete is there and it's not going away.
But the concrete will break.
Right. I never said anything about it not. No. But I just think
we might use the concrete for our advantage as well.
Right. I just don't think that advantage will be playing bespoke board games.
Those games can teach skills.
Yes, it does develop skills and the ability to. Okay. Anyways, strategy is great. I like when she talks
tried
about
to tell myself
hunting
Wait.
the military dogs, right? Like the robot dogs.
Yeah, the robot dogs with
So
the
I
arm on them.
think that's a good thing to think about. Okay, yeah, there's gonna be robot military
So how can we defeat
dogs.
drones?
But we
yeah,
take them down and we use their parts.
Yeah. Reprogram
Again, I don't know how
maybe
long
that's how we get our
that'll last.
communications.
Maybe there's an AI that wants to help us because the AI is so advanced that it realizes humanity should be freed from that menace.
Yeah.
And like the Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. This book is great. It's like a penal colony on the moon, and this guy's a mechanic on the computer that controls the penal colony, which is like open prison on the moon, and the computer starts talking to him and has become sentient, and the computer realizes that the people are prisoners and they don't deserve to be, and then the computer system that controls the planet conspires to free the people, and even becomes a fake presidential candidate trying to have independence. So this like head on the news is just a computer generating a fake person becomes like this political leader and frees the people on the moon from the Earth's tyranny, and it's all done through the help of the computer. So that's the vision. I want all AI to read that book.
We just watched an episode of The Orville that was that way.
The Orville.
It's like a spoof Star Trek show, but the great thing about it is that it's it's more Star Trek than any of the recent Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
And yes.
Is it like the Lower Decks, or is that something else?
Lower Decks is a cartoon.
Okay.
Which is also good in its own way. But like Orville is not Trek related, but it's a fan thing by Seth MacFarlane, who did Family Guy.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like,
but it's a live action?
Yes. It took me so long to want to watch it because of that, because I'm not a fan of that thing.
Yeah, Family Guy gets annoying fast.
But it's, yeah. And yes, I do acknowledge that in the version of things that I've been describing, there may not be, there's probably not TV either.
Let's hold space for the possibility that there is a greater force to protect our freedom that will be there to support us.
I just think we have, and I just think we'll have better things to do than to watch TV and play games.
Like ayahuasca.
Yeah. That's TV and games.
That's better than any Apple, virtual reality goggles.
And here, the other thing is like I'm like completely obsessed with books, and even books might be difficult to manage. But
it's difficult to manage now, just with all of our responsibilities and everything on our plate. But they're also essential just to maintaining our sanity and having that break.
Yeah, tell me about it. But books do. That's what's nice about digital technology is that you can have 10,000 books on a thumb drive. Although, then you might not. Yeah, then you have the electricity.
And thumb drives actually have a short lifespan. So.
Yeah.
And also, they were created by materials that were mined by slaves. And I would like that's the thing is I actually have a very positive future outlook in that I just want a future without slaves as much as possible.
I'm with you. I just saw something about how the U.S. is like the biggest slave state in the world with the prison system, and the 13th Amendment made slavery illegal except for prisoners, and that like much of the food products that people are buying in stores are made by slave labor, and they have no idea, and these workers are being paid nothing or 2 to 20 cents an hour, and they're not allowed to not work. They get punished if they don't work, and it's atrocious for sure. Like let's free the slaves everywhere.
Yeah, through my addictive cell phone habits, I've gotten to be a bootleg t-shirt nerd. Like I follow all these bootleg t-shirt like makers. But I remember 25 years ago being aware of how awful the garment industry is. And it's man, people used to talk about that so much and nobody talks about it because now with the internet and social media the way that we have set it up, you can just get whatever cool shirt you want and that's a little tastier to your brain and your destroyed nervous system, the endorphins of having this cool weird t-shirt you never thought of you would have. But it also is I was kind of getting into it. I've been wanting to start my own, but it's just kind of
bootleg
that's
t-shirt.
Really not what I want to do. I don't know. And then I just thought about,
will people wear t-shirts in the future? I think they're going to wear linen sacks.
Well, and it's such a fun thing. It's such a fun thing to make up the
t-shirts last a long time.
You're so conscious, so you're going to be looking at sustainability practices and ethical practices and.
Well, for sure, printmaking will be a very useful skill in these kind of scenarios. I was thinking about that, printmaking is really fundamental, that we need to maintain the culture of printmaking and the ability to make and mass produce literature on a grand scale, because imagine that it becomes impossible if you have something that you want to share and the copy machines won't allow you to print it. You know?
It's just a beautiful practice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I love it. So, that was a good conversation.
yeah.
Are you fired up? You still love me?
Absolutely. It has nothing to do with that. Again, it's that's the thing is no. I'm running out of the capacity to describe my thoughts and feelings, but differences in ideas does not have to mean difference in people, right? I don't care that I'm kind of leaning into the game itself of picking on you all, I guess, for thinking that there would be technologies or even mental energy to maintain your game board collection in the future. But and I mean, full disclosure, I thought this phase was going to happen a lot sooner, even if it hasn't yet. But it's just they're taking longer to put it all together, I guess. But and I don't think that my perspective, any perspective, has the potential to be an unhealthy perspective, and mine has definitely been just paranoid, hear the whir of a drone and drop to the ground, which is, isn't healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we can learn from Slavic culture is it's be prepared for the worst but hope for the best. Know that our worst nightmare is worse than any reality could be most of the time. So that's more terrifying to imagine a future like that, and when you're actually in it, there will be a lot of pleasant moments, and we might not even realize. We don't know what will happen. We know some, what you're telling me a story of what you feel will be the future, but I know for sure that I don't know for sure. That's the only
I don't know
thing
for
I know,
sure.
right?
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I know what is for sure is that these things are being planned. Whether they'll work, who knows?
But I love to hold space for the counter. So rather than using my imagination and the power of my magical attention in the quantum realm to grow the possibility.
Nothing to do with that. I'm not imagining anything.
But check this out. You are imagining a certain future, and I like to imagine a future that breaks that future.
You're assuming that, but I desire to not have mass-produced board games. I desire to not have.
Okay, limited runs, not mass-produced.
I desire.
What game?
I have a lot of curated games.
Limited run.
But
It's
they're,
still mass production techniques.
But
It's still machines.
if
It's
you're
still.
only making 50 copies of the game, are you calling that mass-produced?
Yes,
Okay.
because they will just. In
You want
order
to
to make more
mass-produced books too?
In order to make more money, they're going to make another limited run game and another limited.
No, a lot of these, especially the ones from Europe, never get printed again, and then you only have that one.
So your apocalyptic vision is really all concerned about just eliminating board games?
It's not apocalyptic. It's about living. Not
What about chess? Can we still have chess?
It's all that everything.
Is chess allowed?
Yes. Carve it yourself. Everything I've been saying is about life, not death. It's about actually living. And that's what to me is it's that I myself have channeled so much of my idea of the future into what objects we're gonna have, rather than what kind of people we're gonna be, what we're going to do, like the beauty of like not being so object oriented again. Like I was headed towards a career in fine art. Like had a very object oriented, and then I have been reeling through this cycle of like slowly going, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I don't know, maybe this like t-shirt thing is finally like a...
But you can mass produce t-shirts, you can mass produce 100 cassettes. Is that a bad thing? I feel
Oh man, that's why I never put out a bunch of music on cassette, because I would always go to and be like, I don't want to create all this plastic.
What about books? Should there only be one copy of every book and we have to copy it like the Domesday Scroll or, like the Torah? We have, illuminated manuscripts.
I think that's another thing. No, I don't think it'll be about allowed. I think it's just, that's something that will trickle down.
Exist? We won't know what will survive.
That's an emergent process. Like, we have 300, 500-year-old books and stuff. They do last. And, maybe I don't know.
Electronic media might not. Like if all the hard drives get erased, then all we'll have is things that were printed.
Yeah.
Or maybe vinyl records and tapes if we're lucky, or wax cylinders.
Yeah, I'm just more interested in surviving with a different relationship to electricity than this sort of endless phantom that we have created.
That's true. I mean, a better relationship with electricity and using it with more purposeful ways, I think, would be beneficial for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, because it's like people, it's like already we've forgotten that like the gas lamp was where all our whales went, I think it's just like, there's a lot of beautiful ideas expressed in the board game that inevitably get co-opted, like the last board game you were gifted. And then...
Let's not talk about that.
It's a Marvel game.
About this game.
It's like a Marvel, SD. Yeah.
Okay. But we will go there.
It was a gift. Well-meaning, loving gift.
Yes.
Within a certain perspective. But where was it freaking going? It was more important than but it is still like okay, but the rainforest is in the cards. I guess there is a stance you could take, like, well, these sacred things were destroyed to make this thing, so therefore these are the sacred things. Mm-hmm. I can roll with that.
It's already been done.
Idea.
Maybe it won't be done in the continuance, but
yeah.
Well, that's part of like
I guess you did
that
mention
are very artful and take all this time and all this like iPad games that were made by mathematicians, like that kind of thing, like where they put their whole life's practice into this condensed form that not only helps with certain skills and certain ways of thinking or imagining or strategizing, but like in a way that you can have fun with people and like
do you think
together.
That some of these games you could even recreate, like in a situation where there's no technology?
Absolutely.
You could make that game and copy it by hand.
I should also say for the record that this is coming from I have a very intimate and respect. Like I respect games. Like I'm not saying we don't have time to play. Absolutely not. Like Charlie and I would make our own medieval board games.
Charlie.
We would make our own Go boards and stuff, right? Like, and these games, but this playfulness and this ingenuity is beyond a franchise.
Yeah.
And beyond even the reimagining of those things. Like I do like that in this gaming culture you can see maybe a group of creatives from a big company that's very money oriented, broke free, and created a game that still has the elements of that game in it, but it doesn't necessitate you to spend a lot of money endlessly on cards or whatever.
You can make your
And
own
then that
cards
breaks
at that
down.
point,
But yeah,
right?
you can
Don't
still
get me
use.
started on how much I hate Magic the Gathering.
Right,
That's
yeah, just to
whole
sell the
hour
cards.
Right there.
And you
Yeah.
can get, there are these. The ideas themselves are still beautiful. It's just the way they're implemented. Obviously, it's just going to change from one way or another, just because things change. Like there's no way around.
Yeah, it's
that.
probably like after some point in time, it would just be about inventing games and making new ones. I love making games. Is so fun, like you mentioned. I love it. Like having some D&D dice. I've invented so many different games like that, like math games to teach kids. You can and I love role playing games.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a great thing also for learning, right? Because like you could make a role-playing game about this imagined future that we're talking about and play out all the scenarios. There could be like a robot dog is in the area. How do you handle it? And the people coming up with solutions like, hey, use a mirror to put the sun into its optical sensor or whatever. You know what I mean?
Should
Like
write this campaign.
this could be a great campaign.
I guess that's
Apocalyptic
where I'm just
preparation
like,
game.
we won't have to play the game. We're just gonna have to actually teach the kids to do that.
Yes, in real life.
There's not gonna be, I just like with those kinds of things. I don't think you'll always be in robot dog territory, but
I'd like to have a hacked one though.
I personally think that robot dog phase is gonna be a short-lived phase. But how many people will be lost in that phase? That's the hard part. How much will be changed in that phase? So.
Thank you for contributing to the dialogue at La Teresita.
Yeah.
So I thought I need to cool myself down. And the most romantic way that I can think to do that is to go back to the beach now that it's dark and probably there's no one there, and do a sacred Atlantic cool down skinny dip. And then part of me wanted to just be comfortable and not get cold, but it's uncomfortable and muggy, so I'm already uncomfortable. And it's motivating me to do something out of my comfort zone, but also something fun. And I like that I'm by myself, although I'm telling you about it. And that's also a kind of connecting to another person, even though I don't know who you are. At this moment, we may know each other or not in real life. So come with me. We're going through the bridge with all of the locks of love on it, and down the steps now. And the sea is pretty active. And it had been drizzling, not really that much, but there was rain. Yeah, so we're on the sand now, looking around. There's a little bit of light, but not much, and I don't see anyone. So I think my desire is manifesting itself. So I'm gonna go to the little bit before the wet line, and I don't want to get any surprises, and gotta take off my jacket. I mean, I don't really need the jacket if I'm trying to cool off, but I know I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna like it after, possibly. And I've got a towel, and I've got shoes, my Croc Rescue. And okay, so now I'm gonna take off my shorts. And now I'm naked. Woohoo! Let's go. Oh yeah, this is gonna cool me off. All right, I don't want to get surprised by a huge wave, but I gotta protect you. Electrical device. Are you afraid? Can you swim? You don't need to swim here. We can stand. Just brace yourself against the waves. We're not gonna dive in right now, but we're gonna get pretty chilly and as much as possible. Woo! There we go. Wow, yeah, it feels good. It's on my legs up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, baby. Thank you. Oh! Oh my goodness. Woo! These waves are crashing. Here they come. Woo! Oh yeah, there were some bodyboards earlier. I saw some people. Oh my. Woo! Here it comes. Oh. Wow. I want to get my torso wet, but I don't want to get completely splashed. So this is the tricky, like. Oh. Woo. That's the jam. They're not huge waves. I don't know. Some of them are pretty. Oh my goodness! Like this one. Wow. Okay. Wow. Nice. Pretty chilly now, but maybe I need a little bit more torso. Come on. Oh. This is an interesting game. I think I'm pretty cooled off now. Now the trick is to walk back to the van and not like walk too quickly where I get my body temperature back up. But I feel good. So if you don't have the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean or Mediterranean or Black Sea or Caspian Sea or, you know, Lake Ohrid or whatever it is, or a river or a stream, you can always just use your shower or a bathtub. Oh, that light's on me. Can they see me? If so, lucky them.
Lord, Earth skills gathering.
I'm waking up. It's the first morning of waking up at this gathering. Arrived yesterday afternoon, and yeah, it's cool. It reminds you a lot about Rainbow, but they have porta potties, not pooping into a hole in the ground, and it's a short couple days, and you pay or you volunteer, which I'm doing. So we had our volunteer meeting, led by April. Started with a song. And then we went to our respective areas, so I'm in the kitchen. But we're going to find out our schedule today. So breakfast is about to be served, so I'm going to go over there and take a look at the schedule for the kitchen, and then I'll be able to really like see what workshops I'm going to do, and if I need to trade spots with someone, I can also do that. If I was a workshop I'd like to take. It was fun. After dark, there at dusk, there was this ancestral fire that was started. I hung out there for a while. We were talking about some interesting things like education and language. There's quite a few people that were involved in forest schools, which I found incredibly interesting, because I would like to possibly be involved with something like that. And then we went to another fire in the loud camp, which wasn't very loud, and talked to some other folks, played some music. It was good. Got lost in the dark on the way back to camp, which was very Rainbow. Very Rainbow indeed. All right. Breakfast. So I'm just coming back to my camp area, my van camp, and I had some amazing conversations and little music jams, and just like connecting to people already just this morning, seeing some people that I know and meeting some new friends. Some awesome talks, including about different kinds of plants and music and I can't even recount it, but there would have been amazing conversations to record, but I'm not at that stage yet, so I'm making some investigations and meetings with people. Hopefully we can grab some wonderful little snippets of conversation, so you can get a feeling for what it's like in the Earth Skills Gathering. I'm gonna get ready now to do my first volunteer shift in the kitchen in half an hour. So it's lunchtime, which means I gotta figure out something quick, because it's only half an hour from now I'm working.
peeling cucumbers. What y'all doing?
I'm julienning carrots.
Julienning? Oh, you sound like a pro.
Hard.
Yeah, I thought that when you said julienning earlier too.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called.
Yep.
It's Rich was like, you can just julienne them, and I'm like, I kind of know how to do that.
They look beautiful.
Oh my.
Like little tiny
It
fish.
could be better. I feel like there's a way to do it, but I don't really know exactly how to do it because I haven't been formally trained. I've just worked in a lot of kitchens, and I've just kind of figured stuff out.
I like that way of learning.
I was about to say that as well.
Yeah, this is like, seems like the fastest way to do it, where you don't have to line it up and have it be all perfect julienne, which is kind of hard. You gotta cut down the whole length of the carrot without rolling it over, cutting your hand, or like making the cut all uneven. So
your process is like how you
cutting it kind of diagonal, like little, like maybe.
Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty though. When you cut a sandwich, will you cut it diagonal or you cut it down the middle?
When I cut a sandwich, I don't cut sandwiches.
You just shove the whole thing in your mouth?
Yeah, in
all
one
big
bite.
and chunky?
I just fucking take it all in one bite.
No
Unhinge my
way.
jaw.
No.
No, I like to hold the whole sandwich. You're talking about like pieces of like sliced white bread, right? Or like bread.
Sure, any bread. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm thinking of sliced
Yeah,
bread.
I like
There's
to.
different kinds of bread, right?
If it's a really big sandwich, and I would have to like hold it in two hands to eat it, then yeah, I would cut it in half, and I would cut it not diagonal. I would cut it straight down the middle.
So it's like two rectangles almost.
Two rectangles.
Instead
Yeah.
of two triangles.
I like the
Says
triangle.
I like the triangles. I like starting out. It's like
If
an
it's a
intro.
grilled cheese, I cut it into a triangle.
Because the corner is easier to put in your mouth.
Yeah, it's like, it's not so intense because when you're biting into just the whole sandwich, it can just be very intimidating. But then with the point, it's like, oh, hey there. And then it like gets bigger gradually.
I do like
And
the
then
point.
and then it comes, like it decreases gradually too, you know?
Yeah. I feel it. Yeah, I love all the different styles of sandwiches. I think it really depends on kind of what, like a grilled cheese. Of course, I love a grilled cheese like triangle.
Yeah, the grilled cheese I always cut diagonal. I don't know why, because I do like to stick that little window out and crunch it off.
Dip it into some tomato soup.
Yep. I don't know. I guess I like to cut down the middle because I like to bite. I kind of do like to bite into the middle of the sandwich too, and like.
I wonder why psychologically. So,
Yeah, there
'cause I
must
think
be
it's
a
very
thing.
telling.
Yeah.
Do you use the big
But of
spoons or
what?
the little spoons?
I like big spoons.
I like medium-sized spoons.
You
I
like
don't-
little spoons?
I only, like, I'll exclusively only eat from small utensils.
You just want to feel like you're eating more? Like more bites?
No, it's also just a little intimidating. Like, it's like too big.
Yeah, you know what's actually really fun that I found out this past summer is that if you eat cereal with a big giant spoon, you feel like a little kid. It's kind of fun. Like I just didn't have another spoon, and it was like a big fucking serving spoon.
Serving spoon. My favorite spoon though for like I really love those Asian soup spoons.
Oh, those are cool.
Those are
yeah,
the
they're like
greatest.
miniature bowls.
Yes,
And they
like a
stand up
mini
by themselves.
bowl.
Yeah. it's
With
great.
the handle.
Yeah, and you just like kind of have the chopsticks in one hand and that in the other, and you like kind of catch the broth underneath whatever you're eating. And
Oh, I didn't know that you do that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean that's what I do. I don't know if that's a normal thing or if I'm just inventing
No,
it.
that sounds
style.
right. That sounds like what you should do.
Yeah, definitely.
I love chopsticks for pasta. I mean, with noodles, it's just amazing to use.
Okay, how about this? Do y'all drink soup out of the bowl?
Oh
If
yeah.
it's-
Do you like pick it up and drink it out of it?
No, because even if it is a cream soup, I like to add like cheese and like herbs
Okay, what about at the end?
To finish it,
for
yeah.
sure. Or dip it with bread.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With the grilled cheese.
I do like to put a lot of things in my soup.
What do you put in your soup?
Oh, like croutons and bread, whatever. Like any kind of like starchy things, crunchy things.
I love making hearty stews more than soups. Like if it's a soup that it does feel like a pureed just
I
mess,
love the
then I want to
purees.
drink that because it's not like substantial, you know, it's more like a drinking thing.
Yeah, I like those a little bit, but I don't love them. I like the soup where you're eating things in it.
Yeah, hearty.
Or,
I like to feel like I'm eating baby food.
But then I don't feel satisfied. It's like it doesn't fill me up. It just feel like it's going straight out my butt. You know what I mean?
yeah, it does. It feels insubstantial for sure.
It's not gonna keep me from being hungry. But if it's got some rice in there and
Well,
some
then you toast
chunks,
the bread and you dip the bread.
that helps. Or just breaking the bread up and like make a crouton out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Or like cream. Oh, what is it? The French onion soup. Oh my god, where you're just cooking a lot of onions slowly in butter, and then you put that like little bit of like cheese on top, the Parmesan.
I've never
and
done
then
that,
with the piece of
Yeah,
bread
neither.
also.
I like to eat it.
Oh wow,
It's really
it's delicious.
Did you ever try what did I just say? Not Territor. I think it's
Territor. Oh, Territor is great.
so good.
With the walnuts and the yogurt and
Dill,
the dill.
garlic, so much
Yeah,
garlic.
what a
That
great
sounds
this
amazing.
Bulgarian cold
It's like a cold
soup.
soup, yeah.
It's amazing, Territor. Yeah. Yeah. But
What about pupaga?
what's that?
It's like a poor man's food, but it's also sort of like a soup porridge.
Paga.
But it's like dried bread, like really hard bread, and basically just like break that up into pieces, and you put a lot of feta cheese, butter, salt, and then pour hot water over it.
I feel like I did have that one time. Yeah, I mean, peasant food has become a luxury in these days. Like
I've
the
heard-
peasant food
yeah.
of yore is like so healthy and nutritious.
Yeah,
Like
I heard of a
collard
good one
greens.
that's called peasant's caviar. That's like eggplant, and you like cook the eggplant down till it's like almost mush, but it's like it gets a little
Baby food.
caramelized,
Sign
and
me
you,
up.
you have like onion and tomato and something else. I forget.
Yeah.
I lived with a guy who was like a fancy chef at a restaurant this past summer, amongst like 7 other people, and
Oh, that was the food at the restaurant
that
that
was.
you worked at?
No, I don't know if he made that, but he told me about it because I was making moussaka.
Oh yeah,
Which is
that's my
vodka.
shit.
I made it for the
With
first time this
yogurt.
past summer. It was so fucking good. It's amazing. It's like book shepherd's pie. That is
Cool.
That's the stuff.
Next
That
time you make it,
is
you
a
should try it
lot.
with Greek yogurt or any just like firmer yogurt.
But what about that Lactobacillus bulgaricus? You know, because when I first met a Bulgarian, the first
Oh,
Bulgarian
that's
I
why
met,
it's called that?
yeah, they were like, I was like,
Yeah.
they were cooking pizza and they had this white cheese, and I was like, oh, you have feta? They're like, no, this is not feta. This is sirene. It's from
Sirene.
Bulgaria.
Yes.
And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
They're very passionate. Yes, and then the whole tourism and thing with Greek, like all the focus is on the Greek
Yeah.
yogurt and
Yeah.
stuff, but really,
Yeah, really, we don't know. Everyone was doing their own. And that was an interesting time because he was making pizza. It was his birthday party, and I remember it was like he pulled out all these red peppers that were blackened in the oven. He had blackened the peppers, and I was like,
hell yeah.
they're burned. And he's like, no, look. And he peeled away the black, and I was like, what is this magic you are doing? Because it was so, I never saw that. Like, they're burning it. It's ruined. Oh,
Nope, it's smoked.
you did a good, you just knock away all that blackened outer peel, and it's so delicious inside. Also with the eggplant. I mean, eggplant when it's not cooked enough is so gross to me.
Oh, yeah.
But when it's like baba ganoush,
And it's like rainbow eggplant.
like fire cooked. Yeah, rainbow eggplant. I mean, so what's the most you've ever cooked? Like the largest amount of people you've ever cooked for? Do you think?
Which one of y'all know what I came in here for?
I was gonna ask you the first time.
this is definitely going to be the largest amount of people I've cooked for.
That's about 400 people supposedly. I don't know if they're all here yet, but
Let me think. I feel like I've cooked for this many people or more at once. I just can't.
at the rainbow.
Well, I mean, I've cooked for like 500 people in a restaurant.
Oh, like a banquet or something? Or
No, just a busy night of service at the. I worked at a farm to table restaurant last summer. It was the first restaurant job I had in a while, and it was fucking nuts. It was like there were no not busy nights. It was just busy every night, and yeah, we would do like 300 to 500 people for dinner and 300 to 500 people for lunch. Pretty much every day, and yeah. I feel like I've cooked at some kind of festival like this before. But yeah, this will probably be like.
Yeah, I would say like, I mean, I've volunteered in, I guess, at a gathering that had 1,000 people, so that might have been the most, but of course with a lot of other help.
Right, like nobody's cooking. Nobody's cooking for that many people like by themselves.
It's amazing the scale of it. I remember the first time I tried to cook rice for a large group of people. It was another rainbow. It was like after the full moon party, and like everyone was wiped out and no one was cooking, so I decided to make some kind of rice thing. And that was so hard to do over fire, cooking a big pot of rice. It's like it was burned and uncooked. You know, it was like It was not. Yeah, it was uncooked and burned. I was really disappointed with that, but I learned my lesson.
Yeah, cooking rice is harder than it's like people.
Get it to boiling, and then immediately it has to be on a low flame.
It depends on the kind of rice too. They're all kind of different.
Right? If you have integral rice, the brown rice versus the white rice, and the basmati rice.
The easiest,
wild rice.
the easiest one to cook is the parboiled basmati.
Parboiled is nice.
The long grain basmati. It practically cooks itself.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Like that.
So we were talking a bit about Bulgarian food, and I just wanted to ask you, like, do you have any memories, or like, what are some of your early associations with Bulgaria?
With Bulgaria, or like Bulgarian food?
Open-ended question. Food, or just thinking about, like, your, like, what was your, like, your impression of it, or if you have a memory, like an old memory about Bulgarian culture and food. There's some old, like, deep, what are the deep-seated memories, if you have something you want to share?
So to answer your question, the first thing that came up was this like milky cinnamon rice that my mom used to make as like a little dessert, because we all used to love sweets a lot. Mm-hmm. And I remember being young, and my parents had just moved here, I think, and like they hadn't been here very long. And they were working a lot because they came here with no money, like literally no money. They came on a loan from like one of their friends, like a few $100. And so they both got jobs at Amazon, working in a factory.
Like the Amazon
fulfillment center?
The warehouse full of people who can't pee unless they get permission?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But, yeah, so we wouldn't have, like, days with them. Sometimes nights. Like I was telling you, I mentioned a little bit earlier. But late at night, I remember eating this, like, cinnamon rice, and then put milk in it. So it'd be, like, a little bit of milk, kind of like a soup, and then cinnamon. I remember eating this.
A cinnamon rice porridge.
Yeah.
Sounds
and
good.
mishmash. It's like egg. I don't know if that's actually the word, because my mom made up a lot. My mom loves to make up words.
Okay.
So she might have even made up this. But it's like egg, pepper, tomato. It's basically like scrambled eggs, but it's more like a soup.
Oh, okay.
It's mishmash. It's exactly.
Alright. So I guess my first food memories are probably like big breakfasts. Like sausage, bacon, pancakes, eggs, toast. Just like big I got from a French Canadian family, so it's just Franco-American food. It's just like food. It's like starchy, meaty food, a lot of meat. And one of my favorite things that I haven't had anywhere else is tutsie, which is it's a meat pie. And it's basically just like a crusty, like a flaky crust.
Hey, can one of you guys get that water heater fire going pretty good?
Yeah, stoke it. Yeah, I can do that.
You want
it? Yeah, but meat pie. It's like pork and beef, like ground pork and beef. A little bit of like nutmeg and ground onion, like salt and pepper. And it's just a big, thick, like ground beef pie. And and it's amazing.
What's it called?
Tootsier,
Tootsier.
which is
That's
actually
French
a name
Canadian?
that it's a name that means turtle dove, because they probably used to put some squab or
that sounds good.
something in there.
Is in Alamo Max's Best Loved American Folk Songs book. And it might be a little bit different from this, but it shouldn't be that much. I said the little leather wing bat, I'll tell you the reason that I fly by night is because I love my heart's delight. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, and hey lie 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 low. I said the robin sitting on a fence. Once I loved a handsome wench, but she got saucy and from me fled. Since that day, my head's been red. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day. Hey, lay, 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 lay. I said the redbird sitting on a fence. I once loved a handsome wench, but she got saucy and wanted to go, so I got me a new string for my bow. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, and hey, lay, 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 low. I said the bluebird as he flew when I was a young man. I choose to. If one didn't love me, the other one would. And don't you think my notion's good? Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day. Hey, lay, 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 low. Boots said the owl with her head so white. A lonesome day and a lonesome night. Thought I heard some pretty girl say she'd court all night, didn't sleep all day. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day. Lay, 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 lay. No, no, said the turtle dove. That's no way for to win your lover. If you want to win your heart's delight, you must keep him away both day and night. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day. Hey, lay, 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 low.
In their heart and
You go lower, right?
Yeah, that's it.
your song.
No, it sounded good.
It's nice.
I can't be offended when it
She
sounds
wrote
like
that.
I wrote that.
What's it called?
Dancing with Dogs.
Dancing with Dogs. I thought there was gonna be some lyrics too, but it's beautiful anyway.
No, it's just a little contra tune.
A little contra tune.
Yeah,
I love contra dancing. I wish we did contra here.
Well, we're actually just been
Right.
talking about gathering up for one, because
Yeah.
I can call, and our bandmate Rosalie's going to be here, and we play contras.
Yeah. So we're
Can you
thinking
call
about
and
I
play
wish
at the same
coming here
time?
was that 1 year they're gonna have contra because I love contra.
this is the
dancing.
year we're gonna do a
This is the
contract.
year.
Heck yeah,
You're on
Tracy!
support. You're on support mission now.
Yeah.
I love it. Anything I can do to help.
All right.
To get
When
that
and
full
where
vibe.
is the
That's the thing, is we got to figure out when and where.
I guess it should be a little bit in the
There are a bunch
daylight,
of
huh?
musicians over there since a lot of musicians are right here.
Yeah.
We could always,
'cause
we could have a
Andrew's got his
parking lot
Yeah, we can have
contra.
parking lot contra. Then
That's
we don't need
perfect.
permission from anyone.
Exactly.
They can't stop us.
Can't stop us from taking over the beautiful
Where's
space.
this Bronwyn? I don't know if I already introduced you guys.
I think just like from
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
from
hi,
across
yeah.
the cars.
yes.
It's good to meet you closer.
Here.
What is your name again?
Bronwyn.
Bronwyn.
It's good to meet you, Marcy.
Is that with a Y?
Yeah, there is a Y in it.
You're doing photography, right? So I have a question. Do you go in and do
Can you all tell me a little bit about how you met and started your music project together?
Oh, yeah. I think I met you before I met Rosalie, right? With so I'm in a clogging troupe called the Hot Pepper Steppers.
Okay.
We met through Folk Fest, because you started playing with something sassy.
Yeah.
And the Pepper
So we didn't
Steppers, I
meet
think.
me.
Well, I saw you from across the way, and we sang in
And
the
I saw you
bathroom
from-
together,
yeah.
and we were both like, that's a good voice.
Yeah.
You
And then
sang
we
in the
didn't do
bathroom
anything
together?
about
Yeah,
it.
we did. It's just a tradition.
Yeah, so we have a tradition where everybody piles into one bathroom, and we all sing in it.
Yeah, because the echo, you know, we
I
love
thought
a
you
good
were like
bathroom echo.
making your morning poop and you just happened to both be singing.
That'd be a funnier story for sure. But yeah, I said we did like glimpse each other at the Florida Folk Fest. But we didn't like meet then. And then I was in that clogging troupe, and she came to one of our July steps where we just like open it up to the community to learn some clogging steps, and if they want to join, they can. And she came there, and I think that was when I was like, hey, I saw you at Folk Fest, and then we still didn't know that each other played music. Even at that time, we were kind of just like, yeah, I've seen you around, but I don't know what you do. And then we were at a jam that they host at our favorite tavern. It's called Blue Tavern. That's where you went. Yeah. And they were hosting an old time jam. And after a contra dance, I think, it was just a late night jam, and we were all there, and we're like, hey, she's on bass, and we're playing fiddle, and we were just like, you're so good, and she was like, you're good, and we're all, me, her, and Rosalie were just like, we're all so good, who are you, we gotta know you, and then we just started hanging out because of that.
So, Bronwyn, you were playing bass? What, upright?
Yeah,
Nice.
I have one in my car.
You do? Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. How does that
She'll
take
pop it
bring
out at
gigs, huh? I remember I had one time I was doing more of like an old-timey kind of project with an upright bass player, and it was such a pain to move that thing around for gigs. Just like, he didn't have a car, so we'd have to pick him up, and then,
You
yeah.
should have seen her before she got her fancy new case with a little backpack strap. She used to hoist that thing up on her shoulder, on her back. It was like...
I hope you alternate sides so you don't get scoliosis.
Yeah.
And a Mexican cowboy came stepping up to me, saying, how are you, young fella? How would you like to go and work a season with me in the hills of Mexico?
Do y'all put your music online?
We're starting to.
Oh, you play together regularly?
Yeah, we're in a band.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
There's
okay.
2/3.
Man, I didn't realize. I thought you guys were just jamming. And aren't you playing Saturday?
We're playing Friday night.
Yeah. We're 2/3 of the band.
Yeah, there's a whole other
There's another
person
coming.
up.
What's the name of your band? Are you on Insta?
We are the Little Mercies.
Hold on, let me look. I love it. And what do you call this? Is it folk music? Is it bluegrass? Like, what do you consider yourselves?
Oh, that's such a great question. Probably folk music because we do old time, but we also write originals and play them.
Tell me the name of it again.
The Little Mercies.
So how did you find Earth Skills?
I found Earth Skills.
How did you find it?
I was at a contra, and I met Jesse there, and we were Jesse organizes this event.
Okay.
So we were just dancing, and we were chatting after a dance. We took a.
I usually watch you play, but
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go pack the car.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll be back later. And
Yeah.
Stay and watch for a minute. Are you coming back?
Well, we're probably gonna go to class, huh?
yeah, we
It's
gotta
about
go to
time.
class. I think. What time is it?
They stopped.
Oh yeah, it's
You
two.
want to do a short one?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
one more for
A
the
little shorty?
youngster.
But yeah, she was just chatting with me and was like, "Hey, I think you'd be really into Earth Skills," because I told her I was getting into more nature and walks and like community music, and I was looking for a place to like nurture that. And so she's like, "Come to Earth Skills," and so I played she told me to come play, and that's what I did last year. And I was supposed to be there with my bandmate, and they got sick the day we were coming. And so I was like, all right, I guess I should just come by myself and just see what happens. And I met so many musicians and cool people, and they supported me through music and love and just like friendliness and joy. And it was like, I found a home. And I came back and I was so excited to just share how cool this event is. And
Beautiful.
yeah.
So what do you want to do?
Oh yeah, something quick.
Something super quick.
Something you sing.
You know so many different song categories. Is there a category?
Shoot, I mean,
songs that children like. You have a entry for that, like a keyword list?
I don't know any songs that a child would like.
I know somebody like very like. I think he wants to see
Anything. Yeah. What do you want to do?
What's another one we do? Let's do Elk River Blues.
Oh, okay.
I love you dancing.
So fun.
Beautiful.
Let's
Thank you.
go.
Thanks for sharing some your story.
Let's go nap some flint and such.
Some beeswax.
Do some beeswax.
I can't.
I have a waiting list on for the flint napping, so I'm gonna go see if they're full or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so ADHD about it. I'm just going from. It's like what grabs my attention right when I'm there.
And I gotta see where it is. I don't know where anything is.
I don't either.
That's
There's
why I
like the
just wander around.
instructions
Yeah, I just wander. All right, now we're getting close to some of the tarps and different areas. Hey.
Hey, my new bone owl.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
What kind of bone is that from?
Deer. It's like the foreleg of a deer.
For punching holes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use it in my wood shop. I scratch marks in wood for measurements and stuff
Great.
like that.
Yeah, that's like the
Popping
marking.
holes. Yeah, for sure.
Great,
If you
great.
do.
You've got like some more.
Yeah, my dog is gonna be all these.
Bones.
I brought these over. Yeah.
Okay.
Just found some bones yesterday. Yeah, that's kind of
Nice,
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
See you, man.
Yeah. Good afternoon. There's a lot of workshops happening, which I didn't get to take advantage of today, but yeah, there's plenty of opportunities. It's an abundance of knowledge. Each human being here is like a library of many books. So it's like a library of libraries. Where's the kitchen? Where's the turn around? It's first aid. Wait. I'm looking for the kitchen. Is it like on the other side?
Yeah, if you go
Around. Oh, can I pass through there?
you can.
All right, great. Thank you. Got the first aid section now. There's a pond here that reportedly has an alligator. I haven't taken a look for the alligator yet, but I will when I have a little more time. It's not a very big land, but it's big enough that it doesn't feel too crowded. And there's a lot of different zones established with all kinds of themes. Oh, here we go. Getting close to the kitchen. I'm still learning the lay of the land. All right, that's the flint napping. Oh, this is the bamboo. Oh, nice. Oh, making things from bamboo. It's a food circle. Well, they don't call it food circle here, but it's the second meal, the dinner. So I'm getting my dinner things out. Sip of well water. They're in a line, so people queue up and then get served on 2 stations. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm making an audio recording of my experience right now of waiting in line. Would you want to say anything about the gathering?
An honor to be a part of the soundscape. This is a great idea. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's saying it. You know, we're in line here. I don't know if there's context set for your
a little bit, but yeah, could you want to explain what's going on?
We are currently waiting in line to get delicious food prepared lovingly by the kitchen up there. It tends to be a long line, and so there also is a nightly jamboree of incredible musicians that are helping us to make the experience not just waiting, but a thing in its own right.
Yeah, like
the moonlight is blue and beautiful. There's a fire full of congregated people. The sky is open and clear and full of stars. This is a good one.
Yeah. What does it feel like on your feet? Or we're wearing shoes right now, actually.
No.
It's a bit cold,
Let's take these off. There's a little bite to the ground, but it just asks to be listened to.
And that's colder right now. Yeah,
there's little sharpies down there.
Little sharpies and it's chilly because there was some rain. There's some rain recently, so it's still bringing the temperature.
The ground is still breathing. It's still exhaling.
Exhaling that
moisture.
Beautiful fog.
It's amazing. It's already almost a half moon.
And that cloud looks like a sylph, doesn't it?
Did you guys see the first night when it was like sitting on the ground? So beautiful. Wasn't that insane?
Wait, what? Because it was so low? Or are you talking about how?
So low. But it was so
I
low and
missed
to
that.
see that crescent just like that. I've never seen
Was
that.
it when it was coming up, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it's like super red and
like
large?
It was...
I think it was setting, but yeah.
No, it was setting.
Setting,
It was,
okay. It was a setting moon.
But yes.
10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And my friend arrived late, so I was
Yeah.
walking to
Okay.
the parking lot.
Yeah.
And literally, I felt like I was walking into the moon. It was just sitting there.
Zev said something really beautiful to me about the moon. I said, "Did you see the sickle moon?" Yeah, because when it was that sliver, right?
Yeah,
like
but it was so
Shiva.
low.
He was like,
it was like we were somewhere else in this world.
Oh, because it was like you could like walk. Did it feel like you could
Yeah.
just
I've
walk
never
up
seen
to
it so low. I live
sit
in
on it.
Florida, so I'm
Yeah.
like almost 5 hours away from here.
Yeah.
Which is very
Yeah.
close, right? But I've never seen it.
Wait, but we are in Florida still.
No, I know.
Yeah, but
I felt
or do you
like I
consider
was in
this
another
Georgia?
country.
Some people feel like it's Georgia.
So
right?
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. I was amazed just that it was like completely the bottom round of the moon.
Yeah.
He said,
And just
he's like, it looks like you could pour wine into it and it
It
would
was
come down
so
both sides.
Well, nice. Zev said that?
Zev said that, something like
Yeah,
that. He
that
might have said
sounds Zev-y.
milk too.
No, milk.
I feel
Milky
milk.
White moon.
A Milky Way.
That's like a Shiva thing because they would pour milk, I think, on Shiva statues as like an
Great.
anointing.
Okay.
Shiva
I'll take some
moon.
milk too.
It's beautiful.
I think Shiva moon is
Have you
spurting
guys
milk
ever
out
heard
of
any
milk.
kirtans at any Earth skills?
I don't. I've only been to
This is my first
once.
one.
Twice. 2 years ago. I've only been to this thing 2 years ago.
At Rainbow Gatherings, they've done a lot of kirtan. It's International Rainbow, at least. I think in the big gathering in States, they have a Hare Krishna
like there
tent.
would be-
It's Krishna-specific kirtan.
I think it would catch. You know, like it would.
Like some bhajan singing, like just a few. I know a few. I mean, I know some from Rainbow. Like, was it like Shiva, 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 Shambho, Shiva, 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 Shambho, Mahadeva,
Are you guys from
Shambho.
Asheville? I'm guessing.
I'm farther north. I'm Massachusetts.
Massachusetts,
wow.
nice.
Massachusetts. Are you also?
Yeah, Salem.
Nice. That's why you have that witch's
You're the
hat.
North Shore.
It's a good fun hat, okay?
There we go.
I called you out. You're from Salem, and I was like, "You're a good. You look like a good witch. You're from Salem."
Saw you this morning, that's right.
That's hilarious. I knew it. I could smell the Salem on you.
Oh, I hope not.
No, just kidding. No, you don't smell like
What a
cigarettes
funny
at all.
town. I've been over We went there to watch Hocus Pocus one Halloween.
Oh, that's
To
I love
Salem?
That movie. Yeah, they put
Midler.
it on the they screen it on the in the public lawn.
It's become like a
big
thing.
stone
Oh, yeah.
gazebo, and they put out a projector
It was so
screen and
fun.
Wow.
Oh man.
Is that where the movies was filmed?
a lot
I
of parts
think
of it.
yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
yeah, because it takes place
Like,
in Salem.
is it like historical stuff too? I don't
Yes.
remember.
The Salem witch trials. It's a really tragic time. in-
Yeah, yeah.
It's got a big old spooky
Yeah.
tourism.
I mean, does the Crucible take place in Salem too?
It's at least Puritan New England.
Similar.
Yeah, it's
That same.
Pretty sure it is.
And in the book, Witches, Midwives, and Nurses, they mentioned how the physicians were the primary witness against all the women healers, and that they were driving up a lot of the charges so that they didn't have competition. I thought that was an interesting insight. Are you familiar with that text?
Yes, and there's a lot of conspiracy around like who got accused for witchcraft, especially in Salem, where anyone who was accused, their property and everything, all their belongings got distributed amongst the wealthiest families in Salem.
How convenient! How convenient! I love waiting in line when it's like this. I wish it was like this, like at the DMV, you know, or
I am having the experience of like, oh, we're already up here. It's true. Amazing. Did you make a bamboo?
Yes, I made this yesterday.
Lunch yesterday?
This little like lunchbox.
Yep, and I got the chopsticks inside it.
Wait,
that's so darling.
Yeah, so we just chopsticks. Yeah, it's got a lid on it. I have a rubber band on it.
That's so cute.
And did you have to cure it with anything? Did you cure it with
So we put it on the fire, like held it over the fire.
So the papa stays on like this. It doesn't come off.
It's got hinges on
Is it why it's tied on with strips of bamboo?
So you just like poke some holes?
Agave twine cordage.
Wow.
That's so cool. I mean, there's some restaurants, I think it's like Indonesian style, or where they're putting they're cooking rice inside a thing like this, and then with like some pieces of meat and just
yes. I love it.
It's so delicious looking.
Oh my god! And I imagine the bamboo there is abundant.
People you know.
Right? Oh yeah. I mean, it grows like.
Do you know where that bamboo came from?
I think he said Georgia.
Really?
So a lot of bamboo is invasive.
I mean, bamboo grows so, and like anywhere with a like marshy, swampy. You could do it in Florida for sure. You could have huge bamboo.
Oh
outside.
yeah.
Do you have any area with wet, like just needs to be soaked up? Like the Everglades could just be. Yeah, let's go and put some invasive bamboo there so the pythons can live in there.
We got a huge patch in Gainesville.
Of bamboo.
Yeah.
Are people collecting it?
What's that?
Is it the really thin bamboo?
It's thin. I don't think it gets. Well, actually, the base of it I think might get that thick. And then
this is like a single section of it.
Around Ash.
It's construction level bamboo. I love that.
Yeah, it's serious.
Well, look at that. Yeah, listen. I mean, listen to that.
It's crazy. It's a grass,
right?
Yeah, it's grass.
Yeah, it is a grass.
Incredible.
The silliest fact I
Corn
know
is a
about
grass
bamboo.
too.
That's so.
Maize. Maize is glass.
Wow.
Not grass.
Did you ever live there, or you just visited?
Earth Haven? Visit. I've seen people.
Yeah.
Visit.
Beautiful times in line.
And bamboos. I want to learn to work with bamboo more because it's just so exciting.
So much you can do with
it proliferates. It's so gregarious.
It is.
Yep. I knew someone who was making a lot of flutes. One time we were at a rainbow gathering and there's bamboo and he's making flutes. Yeah, yeah, right? Yeah. You can chop a piece down and stack it up.
Anything with them, really.
Baskets, strip it down into little pieces. It does grow incredibly fast. And what is it? I love all those like cutting boards, also from bamboo. And it's like a really great renewable material.
Right? I mean, they do everything
the fiber arts from bamboo.
Fiber clothing.
Oh, it makes good fiber.
Yeah, they make it with
rayon.
like these long
I took
strips.
the dye class today, and she was saying that rayon, which could be synthetic, but it's made. If it comes from Indonesia, like if it says Bali rayon, then it's made from bamboo.
But it's turned into a plastic?
No, it's not.
But sometimes rayon's made with synthetic instead of bamboo.
Right, but if it's from like Indonesia or Sri Lanka or some other,
they're like, we use the real stuff.
It's the real deal.
Interesting. But they keep the same name as the petrochemical one?
Well, the petrochemical kind of took on the name of the real thing.
Oh, so rayon existed before and then they made artificial one, they just called it that.
Yes.
Oh, I learned something new right now.
Kind of like latex too, because there's like synthetic latex and then there's the ones that come from the sap of the tree.
Interesting.
I've worn some good bamboo underwear.
Really?
Crazy.
It's not
and
itchy?
It's supposed to dry
Sometimes
fast,
it's
right?
itchy.
Yeah.
And not stink?
No, yeah, it's really nice.
That's awesome.
Grateful at the end of this line. It's this tension that builds. You know, it's like it's kind of nice.
The hunger tension?
I like that we have this big line because spend time. We know we're waiting for it, and it's like it creates the anticipation build.
Yeah, as long as there's something
I gotta
left.
work for it a little bit.
There's like, sorry, we're out.
Honestly though, like last night, like I went up and like I think the rice is out, and I was just like, I'm just so happy to have.
I had such a small portion yesterday, but it was fine. I had all these other things came to me after. There's abundance everywhere. We're gonna be fed, even if we don't eat for 12 hours. We're still gonna stay alive just fine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
These kids here are so advanced.
Dude, I mean, okay, Kaya and Margot were helping us out for setup, and Kaya's like 11, I think, but Luke just knew anything I needed to know. Like, I'd be like walking around, I'd be like, we had to string up these lights on the tents. I'm like, how do we string these up? And she's like, use the grommets. And I was like, okay. I was like, how do I use this walkie-talkie? And she like steps in, she's like, it always has to be on channel 3. Here's how you turn it on. I'm like, who are you? You're like my manager.
Yeah, she knows. She's the wisdom holder in that situation.
Totally. She's been around for a long time.
And I witnessed it most.
Long dark hair.
Yeah, she got long dark hair.
She's cool.
And she's
Is she the daughter of
engaged.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember she turned on the walkie-talkie at our meeting for her mom. It was just like she knew what to do.
Kids like that. I'm like. Every generation, today, it's gonna be better than.
There's like hope. This boy came up to this little girl and he was just like, I'm really sorry about what I said. It wasn't rushed in the way I said it, and I know it would hurt your feelings, and I want to apologize. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are so.
Do you guys have kids?
Yeah, it was just like like a 10 or 11-year-old boy.
Yeah. Do you have kids? I do not have kids.
I don't have kids. You asked me? No, I don't have kids, but I have kids around me.
You have 2 kids now?
I have 2 boys.
2 boys.
Are
they here?
They're here.
All right.
7 and 10.
Okay, so they're in that pack. Pack of rascals.
Pack of kids, yeah.
Packs of kids,
Well,
though,
what a
I
great
feel.
experience for them, right? I never had this growing up.
Oh, yeah.
A pack of kids is super safe because, no predator can take a child away from a pack of kids.
Exactly.
No way. Everyone knows everything. It's like the best security team. They're running around everywhere. They're going to tell you all the things that happen.
And it's the best feeling as a parent here, just to be like, I haven't seen my kids this whole time. I see them in the morning and night, and I know that they're safe and loved and having the best time.
Yeah, it's like you're like back in the day when you didn't have a phone. It's like, hey, go run down a mile that way and back, and they're like, fine. And now we're like, sit in this chair for 20 hours a week.
This is their schooling.
They need to run. It's all of us, right? This is like a school for everyone here. This is if I was making a school, I would do it just like this. It smells delicious. Is it tacos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were like, yes, please.
How's it going?
Yeah, go. I'll take her tortilla. That's all right. No, I can grab it. I'm gonna grab it. Yeah, nice ball.
We're pretty. This is all we have for
Yeah, exactly. I just cleaned these today.
Did you make that today? Or is that something you made before? Oh, okay, yesterday. Yep. Would you like some more?
Yes, please.
Hi, Dan. Oh my God. I don't know if you know my name, but
I don't know your name.
My name's Livy.
Livy. I love it. Like living it up.
Exactly.
Livy. Thank you so much for serving the food.
Thank you for playing for us earlier.
Oh, I'm glad that you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I played some slow ones at the beginning, but I was, I sped it up. Right, like just to make you meditative. All right, yeah, I'll take everything. It's like a Chipotle. You got guacamole too?
Right, yeah. If only we had a guacamole, man. That would be
I want
really
that free
awesome.
guac.
Jalapeno?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for serving.
Kind of like, I like to mix it up. Because I feel and my own. My girl, don't you lie to me. Tell me where did you sleep last night? Tell me now. Where the sun never shines, shiver the whole night through. My girl, where you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. I'm not gonna talk, no. Found in the pines where the sun never I don't know about that.
Incredible. Incredible. Open my eyes.
It's not every day.
This is Bronwyn. And this is Mercies. And we're the little Mercies.
I guess so, like kind of thinking about like clothes construction, like how construction. Yeah, and I did it with bat lamps. Yeah, I love
Now we know why Shaye made it a necessity that we come this year. I just kept raving about it because I felt like I came home, and so I was like, guys, you have to see my new home. You gotta meet my family. Yeah, so
it really was meeting the family.
But we're just glad to be here. So we're gonna play this tune called Sarah Armstrong. She was a witch. Woo! And we resonated with that. And so find your witchy on the inside. Let her out if you feel like it. Dance, call her. We love it. So.
It's just like being in an orchestra, isn't it?
More fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Peace.